Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly sage today, because today, weird sage. I kind of feel like it needs to have two words and the word weird in it. I'm your weird sage, because today we're carrying on with our ongoing campaign, our year-long campaign celebrating 10 years on the channel and the release of a successor game to one of our first games we ran on the channel, Shadow of the Demon Lord. The game we're playing is Shadow of the Weird Wizard, and this is session 2. We have had a character creation session and another one, so if you're joining us for the first time, you may want to go to the playlist and watch those earlier sessions if you don't care about that, or if you have already caught up, well then welcome. Allow me to introduce you to the weirdos who we are playing with today. I'll go the order. I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up, we've got David.
Hi everyone, I'm David. I'm playing Caden, a human fighter, reformed criminal, college dropout, and currently caravan guard.
Very nice. Okay, and next up is Jeffrey.
Hi everybody, I'm Jeff, and I am playing Moonbeam Longsight. She is a sprite and a master of divination.
Very nice. Next up is Graham. Oh, next up.
Hi, I am Graham. You won't have seen me in the first one, but I am playing Oakley, who is an ancient infected mage, a mage who expects the worst in people and is rarely disappointed.
Very nice. Next up is Sean.
Hey, I am playing Sirocco, a harpy that was a former cage captive, escaped, and also a up and coming magic user.
Very nice. And last but certainly not least is Jamie.
Hey everybody, I'm Jamie. I'm going to be playing Fenric Darkmane. He is a warg aristocratic landholder and I guess he's more on the warrior side of things.
Nice. So last session was our introductory game. We're going to be having some pretty big jumps between sessions. In particular, in this session, we are picking up 2 months after the events of our first session. What do you guys recall having happened the first session? Let me give you some visual aids to assist with that. Look at that sunny territory. Come on.
Sweet.
What do you guys recall from last time?
We successfully avoided paying taxes, and then rode off into the sunset. So we started off our caravan across the Salt Barrens in the hopes of reaching the borderlands. And I think there's about 50 people in total on the caravan as well as us. And it's led by Kazan and Zarka, a couple. And I believe one of them is... Zarka Kazan is the leader of the caravan. Her husband, Gunnar, is some kind of wizard who helps with replenishing water and summoning clouds during like the hottest part of the day, when these salt barrens are absolutely hostile to living things. But one of the obstacles we had to face was that there are bandits who claim to be, tax collectors for one of the kingdoms or the whatever remains of the empire, and we were warned about them, and we encountered some of them because we had been warned. The groups was at the back of the caravan to ensure no funny business, while Zarka dealt with the sort of official welcome committee from the taxmen. And thankfully we did, because they tried to sneak up on us. But we don't want to say resoundingly, it was challenging, but we were able to drive them off and make them decide not to collect taxes from us. Mm-hmm. They were obviously scared away by Sirocco's constant use of confetti, which I think is some kind of new type of magic that creates confusion.
You all just don't understand it, but it's highly sophisticated. It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we were successful in that, and then we sort of bonded slightly as a group, and sort of a little celebration after the fight, and we got some loot and respect of the people in the caravan.
Yeah. So The session, as I said, is picking up 2 months afterwards, and you guys are a little more than halfway across the Salt Barrens at this point, but the daily routine has largely remained the same. That was the first violent encounter you guys have had since departing the Great Kingdom. It has, for one, drawn the caravan a little closer together now that the fine point of a threat, a persisting threat to kill or rob people, in addition to the climate that you'll be crossing, it brought everybody sort of closer together. You guys also remember that there was some warnings that you gave to members of the caravan of infiltrators. So people have made a point of getting to know one another much more. You did hit a way station partway across as well, which is where Moonbeam, and who is not here today, but Juggler, who was also from the carnival. You guys came across someone who you used to know. And Caden, I think you knew them as well, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And it
That
was
sounds right.
someone named Estebel. Estebel got lost in with the caravan that was with the rest of the carnival, but managed to be saved by some people and then delivered to this place. She was waiting here, and when you guys arrived, you came across her. The caravan took on more supplies. There was a couple extra people who were stragglers from other caravans who joined on as well. In light of the banditry, because every time you get close to a waypoint, there will be bandits who are lurking nearby because they can have a staging ground. They come out and prey on them, but fortunately thus far, you guys have not had any substantially violent activities. Those of you who've been working as caravan guards have seen other opportunities where you've had to go and help people, or unfortunately mark that they've been lost. It's more than just sentient things that are out here. There is one person who wandered off because they smelled something, and you found a plant that seemingly dissolves people over time. That person was not able to be saved, but fortunately you guys were able to save 2 others from that. But again, the further you have gone out into here, the more it feels very much like kind of being adrift at sea, because there truly is nothing welcoming or hospitable anywhere near you. Since you've departed, it's been about 3 weeks since you've departed, but what I would like to start with is some of the things that happened when you guys were very briefly back in civilization. So let's go left to right here. Caden, would you give us a D6 roll, please? Okay. Caden, you unfortunately fell into debt to someone. Now, do you think that is related to gambling, to something that you broke, or to something that was completely out of your control?
Buying a house.
Yes. We thought it was gambling. Yeah.
Gambling?
Yeah, I think like a game of gambling where I was fleeced by some hustler, someone who possibly has cheated, or I accused them of cheating and it didn't go well, and it ended in a bit of a debacle.
Okay. Moonbeam, would you give us a D6 roll, please? If you roll the same thing, don't worry, I'm just going to bump further down on the chart I got.
Oh, right to the top.
So perhaps this relates to your fortune telling, but there is someone who you met who is interested in financing a quest for you once you reach the far side of the borderlands, or far side of the Salt Barrens. Somebody in, I think it's Newtown, they say they've got a plan, and they think of you be perfect for it. This is, people coming in from the New World. I'll let you think about what you think the quest might be. If you'd rather I just fill it in, I'm happy to do so. But you have had somebody who, once you reach there, if you reach there, then they're interested in financing something for you. Oakley, would you give us a D6 roll, please?
sure.
Five.
Ooh.
So I can't read my handwriting. Let me make sure I've got this right here. I think there's a lesson to be learned here. Don't try and make notes about this stuff when you've got a pit bull on your chest. I was scrambling stuff down as I was rolling. Well, I was cuddling with Anna Banana last night. The heck, what is this? Like, carousing is part of this. I'm trying to see here. I don't think it was an inconvenience.
Excessive carousing?
Is there such a thing? I mean,
It's a huge part of
We didn't think so before Oakley got involved.
True. Okay. Let's see here. Ah, here we go. So, apparently you spent your time carousing at the way station there, Oakley, and whether due to spending time in the tavern or gambling alongside Caden, you've actually seemingly rubbed shoulders with some fairly important folks, not necessarily in the caravan, but folks who have contacts here and in Newtown.
Right.
So, I mean, you have your own contacts in the Borderlands too, but this will something new. This will be something new. So, Rocco, would you give us a D6 roll, please? Nice. You guys are really making it helpful by rolling different things.
Right?
So, Rocco, it seems that your time in a cage was not at an end because you were arrested and briefly spent time in prison. I have no doubt it was a misunderstanding. But give some thought as to what may have occurred that led to you briefly being imprisoned while at that way station.
At the way station. Okay.
It could very well be just by virtue of your ancestry, people could have not understood that, no, he's not, he's not a pest, he's not a thief, he's not a monster. He was traveling with the others. You did not have to stay there for long. You have not been branded or anything like that. But there was a brief period where you did spend time in prison.
After all, I'm an accomplished escapee. I've done this before.
Very good. It could very well be that you got yourself out and back with the caravan and never told anybody that it happened.
Just left. Hey, we should go. It's time to go. I think we should move on, everybody.
And finally, Fenric, would you give us a D6 roll, please? Okay.
I would be difficult, wouldn't I?
No, you keep it.
You didn't have many left.
Oh.
David. You had a limited.
So,
on the
Fenric,
D6.
you tell us, you apparently spent a great deal of time at the way station healing the sick, dealing with orphans and the needy. What do you think inspired you to do that for effectively like the human detritus that's left behind in caravans? Like the children of people who were traveling who could no longer pay, who were just left there to work. And folks who are too sick to carry on with their caravan, so they're left there to either recover or die.
Yeah, I think Fenric has sort of welled up some compassion from trying to escape his aristocratic past, right? He looks at those people as being less fortunate and is willing to spend some extra time with them, knowing that they're largely forgotten. So I think that's what motivates him, is to separate himself from his ancestry a little bit.
Okay. Anna approves. I mean, not surprising that Anne has, got a favorite character here. So
She's on board.
yeah. All right. So that's what I'll leave. Feel free to embellish on that stuff or reference back to it. But that's what happened at the carryover. And you guys had mentioned that you were going to bring Estabel along with you for this and not leave her to languish in this place.
Yeah.
It's the life that Fenric would see of those who are left behind there. It's, they're not dead, but it's the equivalent of basically being marooned on a work island, right? Where you have no choice but to do what the people who own the place or have access to the food and water and whatnot say, or, wander out into the desert and die. Our scene will open like this with the lot of you guys going along, the wagons drawn by fire lizards once again. You can certainly bring horses, camels, and other kind of more typical things across the Salt Barrens, but it is much more reliable to simply use a fire lizard and ensure that the animal's not going to die partway across. I think we're picking up with the sun is very, very high in the sky, but we see clouds unnaturally rolling in, which tells us that what's his name here?
Oh, I just want to point out that I would have cast my revelations for the day. I would have consulted the cards.
Oh, yeah. Right. Did you adapt this from Imperium Maledictum? It feels like it.
No, I found it in the book.
I know. Give us a...
Ooh, a 13.
Are you heading...
And a 1.
Are you heading for that overpowered criticism again, GM?
Not at all. I will point out, because it's just, for the amount of times we make jokes about Jeff's luck with dice rolls, in last night's Dark Eye session, he rolled back-to-backs criticals on skill checks, which means he rolled nat 1s on 2 of 3 D20s twice in a row.
Wow. Yeah. See, the game doesn't necessarily know that 1s on D20s
exactly.
are amazing in that game. Roll20 just programmed to screw me, but
yeah,
it didn't know it was giving me the best possible roll.
All right.
I got another one. I can stink onto someone today.
Gunnar Kazan is the one, obviously, who has worked the magics. And I believe, Sirocco, you've been working with him to try and apprentice in elemental things. So he is, Gunnar is quite fond of you. If you didn't escape from the prison, I think he's naturally the one who would have gone and like, what the fuck are you doing? Because you're a kid as well as a fledgling, sorcerer. So he would, your choice as to whether he discovered that and then got you free, or whether you snuck yourself out. And
I'm leaning towards, I'm just not having it anymore. Like, I'm in a cage again, and I'm like, nope, like that is not happening. Like, I immediately worked on escaping. And by the way, I do have a morning, I have a morning deal now too, where I try I beseech the nature spirits to keep an eye on me every morning.
To impose 1 bane on rolls to attack you, become immune from exposure, hunger, and thirst, and you take half damage from fire.
You going overpowered on me again? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm sure it's perfectly balanced. That seems...
It seemed very thematic. How about that? Like,
it does seem very thematic. Yeah. And that is, I think that, it's also likely something that Gunnar probably uses on himself, right?
Yeah.
That's for it. So, and I assume that's like you get 1 casting of it?
Yeah, 24 hours duration, 1 casting per rest.
It's interesting that they didn't make it a talent. Instead, right? Because like if you're taking it as a pick and you're always going, that does seem like it would be a talent, because you're probably going to use it every day.
It's a little more powerful than a talent, I would suggest, but
and it can be dispelled too.
Meaning like an attack that would dispel it?
Like a magical, if the thing that would dispel magic would get rid of that ability.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah. It would also
If they're more powerful than me.
Sorry?
If they're more powerful than me, I mean, you know.
So, what I'd like to hear is kind of how have we seen a difference in our heroes that we saw last time, our weirdos. So, particular Caden, Moonbeam, and Sirocco, what would we have seen as a difference of 2 months of traveling across the Salt Barrens? How has that impacted your heroes?
I think Sirocco's growing up. I mean, he's so young that I think that it's easy to measure. I think a progress of a. I'm not looking directly at his age at the moment, but you know, let's say from an 18-year-old to a 23-year-old is a much bigger difference than a 40-year-old to a 45-year-old. You know, kind of thing. I know we haven't passed years, but in other words, like his growing up is pretty.
In fairness, I
noticeable.
think 40-year-old to 45-year-old, the percentage chance of a midlife crisis grows. So
that's true. Fair enough.
I speak from experience here, so.
Yeah. But so I think he's becoming more self-assured, you know, as he goes, and his mentor is helping with that. And, you know, he's learning, and you know, I think he did escape, you know, imprisoned a second time. Are you kidding me? And got out, and like, you know, going through troubles makes you more self-assured. It makes you, you know, you overcome obstacles and you're a little more adult, a little more self-confident.
Okay. What about Moonbeam and Caden?
Well, I think that we looked up last time that the sprites aren't as affected by like lack of food and water and such. So I don't think she's, you know, been having that tough of a time in that way traveling here. But I think the just the blistering sun and the lack of protection, I think that her skin is gotten much more tanned and leathery, and you know, her tattoos were so pronounced when her skin was so, you know, white from always, you know, being protected from the sun, that now she kind of looks quite a lot different after the travel.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot more road weary that way, I think.
Yeah, and the dust that would settle into you and all your clothes and whatnot too would be like chalk white, right? So it would add to the ghostly, you know, cast that you would have in your skin.
Yeah, her appearance is kind of swapped. Like she probably had dark clothing and very white skin with tattoos, and now her skin is dark and her clothes are turning white. She kind of flipped her chromatic bar. Yeah.
And what about Caden?
Well, I think Kane is definitely a little bit leaner after 2 months out in the, a bulky guy. And I think he's become much more sort of embedded in the caravan. He was training some of the people in the caravan when in the arms we retrieved from the bandits. And I think he has been given Moonbeam some fighting lessons. So I think he's become much more sort of at ease, knowing the people of the caravan, being embedded, almost like, I guess, sort of like a second in command to Zarka, or sort of someone she can rely on to keep, you know, get set up guard rotas and then help out where needed. So he's much more at ease in that role.
Okay. And I think you took the brawler. What was the one that you took your ability for?
Engager.
So
the one that lets me sort of protect people by if someone moves in.
Got it.
Intercept them and...
Yeah, so you've definitely moved more into the protective role. So there's a lot of folks who are at the caravan who are just deferring to you at this point. We have not yet seen Oakley or Fenric. So Oakley, what will we see as everyone's kind of, I'm imagining Caden is wandering around with Moonbeam, kind of like getting people warning, like the clouds are coming in, we're going to set out once again. Sirocco, having watched Gunnar complete this ritual, is going to be, you know, flying to the back to once again kind of take his position, or perhaps even to scout ahead as you customarily do. What do we see Oakley doing as he's making his way through the caravan?
He's observing, for the sun drives back the darkness. The moon plays tricks on the mind and drives the sane mad, while the stars hang in the firmament, their falling portending great events. And as an astromancer, he is enjoying this rich panoply of stars, the power of the sun, and the warping of the moon as he travels and contemplates.
So as I often
What is
say
to
in the
come?
day job, that is a very interesting answer, but it doesn't answer the question I asked. My question is, what do we see?
You see, so you see him observing the sky, and at nighttime you'll see him looking at the stars,
Okay.
and probably scribbling in a book and making observations
Okay.
about the changing nature of the sky.
Okay. So he's watching the change in weather as it comes in. You guys note that it does not seem that Oakley is assisting with the caravan in any meaningful capacity. What do we see Fenric doing?
I think when Fenric's not helping the Forgotten, he would be wandering a little bit away and patrolling the perimeter just out of instinct, and perhaps even just enjoying the terrain a little bit on four legs and walking a bit around at night, stretching out and getting to know sort of the terrain.
Is it an open secret that he's a warg?
Yeah, it's definitely an open secret. I think everybody knows his ancestry, and or at least it's been shared at this point.
Yeah.
But he doesn't normally walk around on four legs, so that would be more unusual to see him in that form. But at night, I think when he would wander around the perimeter, he would maybe howl every once in a while. You would hear in the.
Okay. So we see that is making the rounds, I guess, to kind of like get people up and remind them they're going. There's this wolf that's making its way through the camp as well. Oakley, would you kindly give us first, would everyone put their professions in chat, please? I forgot to look at the character sheets and write them down beforehand. And then Oakley, would you give us a intellect? But let me see here. You're going to get at least one boon, potentially more here.
Sure. So, sorry, Kevin. I was looking at my profession. What was the role?
Just give me a second. I think it'll be intellect, but I'm just going to see what your professions are here. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
So, Caden, I just wrote down heat stroke as your fucking
That
idiot.
was in reference to Oakley's proclamations.
Yeah. Okay. Landholder.
Is that a test roll? No, it's.
I think. So, what was your? What's Oakley's profession?
Right, I just made my roll. He was a prospector.
Prospector, great. Okay, right.
Ooh.
So, that's a great roll. When she should have had one boon on that as well.
Oh, okay.
Did it roll one?
Okay.
Or no.
I didn't add a boon on my
Okay,
apologies.
so roll two, because you're gonna get one from your prospector profession and one from just you've described that you're always kind of looking up at this point. That's a 21.
Wow. Okay.
So here's what you know. So you're looking up, and you can see something up ahead, and what it looks like. I want you to picture like how starlings can kind of like scatter and then get back together into a form and scatter once again. You're seeing something like that, but it almost seems as if it is it never comes together in a clear form. It is something that is like hazy, that almost might be hidden by the it almost would appear like a heat illusion, right? Like the shimmering thing that you see when you're looking across, but it's far too high up. And it's not like it's a sundog or something like that, where it's, bright. It's a form that seemingly comes together in like a rough, like circular shape, and then never really kind of quite comes together. And someone may come by and say, bump into you perhaps and be like, "Oh, don't let me get in the way of your work." And what you're looking at up above is a pack of flensing beetles. And these are things that
Okay.
they very much sound, they are very much what they sound like. If you can picture a combination of flying scarab beetle and piranha, that is what a flensing beetle is.
I will shout. I shall probably shout to Caden immediately.
Well, here's what you know. You got a crit on this, so you know that, like, this time of day, this is not when they come. They drift on the breeze. It's far too hot, and this time, most things are not moving out and about. But what it means is that at some point later on, they may drift down in a more coalesced swarm, gorge themselves, and then kind of drift on the heat the next day.
So I'll inform people. I'll probably sort of shout out. Was it fletching?
Flensing.
Flensing beetles, I will say.
Yeah.
I will say flensing beetles.
Open chat.
Yonder.
And they're probably like almost a half mile up. And I think because you've got a crit on this too, it is there is an easy deterrent, like burning a specific scent or whatnot. You can keep these things away. They know not to go by certain things. Right. They can't just eat everything. But if you just want to care to describe to this jerk who just bumped into you what it is you see, it will definitely prevent him from talking to you ever again.
I will do that thing. I always expect the worst of people, and he is. So I will inform that, and I will start to instruct people to start burning this particular incense, and just as a precautionary measure.
Yeah, something you brought along with you. You know, in some of these parts, these things can be found. So I think perhaps which of you other guys do you want to overhear when Oakley is informing people about this?
I think Caden would probably become aware of a commotion and sort of meander over and see if he can help or what's going on.
Yeah.
A potential risk, Caden, that is all. Flenching beetles, you can see them up there.
It's deeply unpleasant.
Indeed.
Can anything be done?
Yes, I've instructed people to start burning this particular incense. It tends to keep them at bay, but we should be vigilant as we travel to see what their patterns are. I would also state that it is most uncharacteristic for them to be out at this time. It is as if perhaps they have been summoned or called in some kind of way, perhaps.
Something to do with their natural grounds, or you think summoned as in someone is deliberately calling them to us?
I think possibly someone deliberately. And Sirocco, I would say before you even think about flying up there, do take care. They're not very chatty, and they will dismember you very quickly.
I was going to say, Kevin, if you think I'm up in the air or not, it's up to you, whatever you think.
I think you may be like overheard what was going on, and because Oakley is also a mage, and you may. I can't remember, guys. Does Sirocco knows that Oakley used to work for the Warg Wizard, right?
Yeah, we ran into each other, I believe, at the Manse.
Yeah. So you know Shraxus Darkmane, the Warg Wizard, Fenric's predecessor.
It's all very incestuous, really. That man's, between Fenric and the family and Oakley I ran into at the man's while I was escaping, and all sorts of.
I imagine because you know that like Oakley isn't a trained wizard per se, the way that like the other, the way the wizard is, but he does have magical capabilities, and perhaps if you saw him talking to Caden, you would go over, and that's when you'd hear this warning that he gave about the flensing beetles.
And I'm probably a little drawn to that because I'm not a trained, I'm mentoring now a little bit, which is, highly attractive to me. But the notion of someone like, trying to learn, I'm an inventor, but I'm more of an inventor on magic, than mechanics at this point. So I'm very drawn to someone else that's doing.
I love that as a conceit of your chaos magic is like, you're constantly tinkering with shit and it's always going wrong.
There's no need to invoke the word chaos. It's learning. It is trial and error. It is.
Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. I've learned a lot.
That is right. That is absolutely correct.
Okay. So
It's a purer form, Sirocco. It's a purer form.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So what do you think the routine is once you guys get up and start moving for the second half of the day? Where does everyone fall in their position in the? I think Estebel would come over. You know, if she sees you guys talking, what's happening?
We have simply noted, if you look above, those are flancing beetles. Are you aware of them? Do you know what they are?
Flancing. Oh, how
Can
pretty!
you see them? Yes, but they are really very violent as well.
What?
They have a taste for flesh and a capacity to tear it apart, I'm afraid, for all their beauty.
What? She's kind of looking at probably to Caden. If is Moonbeam there?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, as the commotion continues, for
So
sure.
she kind of like would look up at Caden, like the look she gives you is like, why are we not more concerned about this?
Because Oakley, as well as spotting this danger, has also provided us with the means to ward against it. I motioned to like this bit of smoke rising up into the sky. The deep breath, although not directly over the herb.
It's an aromatic smell. It's not unpleasant, but it also wards against their close attention.
You can see she's been holding something and she kind of brings it to her chest. Good. And she mutters something. And those of you who are close enough to hear, I think you recognize it as an aphorism that has started people are starting to say it a little more often in the caravan than what you had noticed before. Everyone can give us a... I'm assuming, Fenric, like all good dogs, your ears came up when everyone was together and you came running over to see what people were doing. Why don't you all give us a intellect check, please, with, let's see here. If you got anything that would boost your religious lore, you can go ahead and include a boon in that. I'll leave it to your discretion as to whether you get one or not. Again, this isn't a contested roll, so just a 10 is all you need. Okay.
29.
Play.
Caden.
Okay. Both Moonbeam and Caden. I think perhaps, Caden, you're close enough to even get a look at what is in her hand, and it is a placard, which Graham and I have confirmed does not have a K in it. And when she moves it away, this is what it looks like, guys. And you would know that John Swell is the founder of the church, at least the version of the Church of the New God that came to dominate the Great Kingdom and the Old Country. With Caden, with that, I think you've actually had, for one thing, you recognize that the little thing she says is a prayer to the New God. A prayer to the High One for protection. Now, we've established during CareGen, nobody here has any connection to the new gods. It's all the old gods that you guys have connections to, if there's any connection to it whatsoever. Recent history, Caden would know this for sure. I think you would all know the basics, that one of the reasons that the Great Kingdom collapsed is because a group of paladins called the Holy Order, they murdered the royal family. They were all paladins of the High One. They murdered the royal family. It is unclear why that happened. And one of the causes of ongoing strife is that there is currently 2 pontiffs who run the Church of the High One, each claiming to be the true voice of the High One. The chaos that has engulfed, the Great Kingdom afterwards, the Orc Plague, for instance, is maybe unrelated to that. But the long and short of the church and the beliefs of the High One include, for one, only because of the High One and his ascension are mortals able to access paradise, rather than either going to the realm of Lord Death or just simply dissipating. The High One displaced someone known as the Adversary from paradise. And the Adversary is seen as a rival to the High One, jealous that he has displaced him from paradise and now opens a place for mortals to go after they depart. The High One is the reason why there are almost no followers of the old gods, because the strictures of the High One are such that the old gods are devils. And you know that while the old country, the Church of the High One, rocketed into ascent and became the state religion after it is not John Schwalb who saw the church into its full ascent, it was someone named Princess Rana. Princess Rana, while fighting an adversary, had a vision and saw a red comet, and on the spot converted to the High One, and that led to her ascension to ruling the great country, or the great kingdom and the empire. Ever since, they have been the sole faith recognized. But it's said in the Borderlands, belief in the old gods persists, and many of you still persist in the beliefs of those gods, for those of you who do have beliefs. The fact that you have never known Estebel to be a devotee of the High One. You certainly do not know her to carry on a placard of John Schwalb. Like, where did she even get that thing?
Right.
And the aphorisms that you've heard people say, Moonbeam and Caden, as they're kind of making prayers and stuff like that, they're all prayers to the High One. So this faith that seemingly was left behind in the decaying and collapsing old country, it seems to persist here. So yes. She says her prayer to this, and then she says, well, if there's nothing to worry about then that is good. And she will leave and heads off towards something else. You've seen, I think, since that, well, initially she was very much glommed onto you guys. She seems to have made other friends in the caravans in the past few weeks. So it leaves you all behind. Caden, Moonbeam, this is the first time, for one, you've heard Estebel make any reference and any prayer to the High One.
Right.
And secondly, again, where the fuck did she get this placard?
Yeah, someone here in the caravan is surreptitiously brought this religion along.
Yeah.
Do we know what happened to her former caravan, as you told us?
Well, she got lost for the former caravan. It wasn't that they were destroyed. She got caught in a storm and seemingly would have died, but there were some men. If you talk to her about it, if you've asked her about who it was who saved her, she didn't say one way or the other, but it does sound like it was a ranger who saved her. You've heard of these folks making their way across, not only here, but apparently across the Borderlands. The stories you've heard about the Rangers are that they were a knightly order sent out from the Old Kingdom to sort of protect the borders and protect the folks who would travel them, but have changed into more of a, what we would think of as Rangers now. The, walkers in the wild, the people who, good folks think are scurrilous and, keep bad company. I'm not sure if I use the word scurrilous correctly there, but I do like it. But they are, I think, if you speak to either Gunnar or Zarpa about them, they will tell you no, they are they're something to rely on out here because these folks know what, getting into trouble in these lands are like.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you know about Estebel.
It's mildly troubling.
I wouldn't be too concerned.
It is her business.
Yeah, it's her faith.
So,
As long as they don't start imposing, their views on us.
one of the tenets of the High One, there are no gods but the High One. Only devils. So, what, unless there's anything else you guys wish to follow up on in this particular scene, Oakley has noticed the flensing beetles and his remedy seems to have resolved it. Keeping an eye on the sky as it is, Oakley, in spite of the cloud cover, you're still able to pick up that they seem to have dissipated and not followed. They've gone off in search of something else. Is there anything you guys think that is a part of your regular evening routine?
I'll probably take to the sky periodically to see if I see any lights at least. I mean, I do have, I don't have night vision, but I can, if someone has torches and that kind of thing, it's easily stood out from a height,
Yeah.
too.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. So you, once again, for your doing your evening circling, it's also probably
Control.
like the most comfortable before the desert temperatures plunge. There's still that lingering, little bit of warmth. So it's probably the most comfortable time to be up in the sky, I imagine. What about the rest of you guys?
I might help a little bit with the making of fires.
Okay.
If that's what we do, just to sort of help keep us warm.
Definitely. And I think, Oakley, like, if you are so inclined to, the best view for the skies, knowing your inclinations, is probably about, like, 25 paces outside of camp. Once you're away from the campfires and whatnot, with the lack of moisture that is here and the lack of ambient light, like, it must be just a carpet of stars that you're seeing above you.
Yeah, panoply. Yeah.
What about Fenric, Moonbeam, and Caden? What's part of your evening routine here?
I think, oh, go ahead.
I think for Kane it would be some light training with those in the caravan that want some weapons training.
Okay.
And then also some one-on-one lessons for Moonbeam because she had asked for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Moonbeam has some negative views on humans, so there's probably some sort of vehemence in those lessons.
Okay.
And I think Fenric, once he's sort of satisfied patrolling the perimeter and feels like things are safe, he would find a spot on the edge of the firelight and sit and probably sharpen his sword, his old Darkmane sword that would remind him of home and why he's here and what's brought him here. Again, and then just thinking of, what he can do to make things right. I think he feels like there's been his family has benefited and so many others have not, and so he feels like this driving him forward.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that he, in spite of giving up, the estate and all the other stuff, he still keeps the Darkmane blade.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if he's keeping this thing in such a careful state, like, it's not as if he is denying his legacy. I think you can safely assume that you may not have ever heard of another warg becoming a wizard. So your predecessor, your what's not the word I'm looking for? Your relative, from whom you inherited this thing. His name I've already forgotten. Shraxus. Yeah, how could I forget that? We all went to high school with a Shraxus. Come on. So Shraxus Darkmane, like, I expect that when the few folks who do recognize the name, because it's not something that, like, is on the lips of everybody, but the one or two people who you have met who talk about Shraxus Darkmane, it is a level of reverence that comes from, you know, like a deep understanding and a deep mix of respect and awe for their capabilities. So it is, there may be more to, it doesn't sound like you knew Shraxus a great deal before inheriting this place from him, but Sirocco, how do you talk about Shraxus, your former master / owner?
I think I probably don't. I think I'm in the habit of not bringing him up. I mean, that's a kind of a. There's nothing really positive. I mean, you know, the only positive of it is it kind of gave me direction. You know, it took me years and years of trying to self-train and even to speak the language of arcane, I think it's called, to try to make out the heads or tails out of those books over his shoulder. But, you know, a lot of negative, you know, a sea of negatives there. So I think it's a dark, you know, you'll see his face. If he's brought up, you know, Sirocco's face changes immediately you know, of dark, kind of a dark time. So, and he's aware of Fenric's relation. So, you know, just bring it up. Probably doesn't bring it up, especially being young. I'm thinking you go one way or the other. Either Sirocco would be outspoken or he'd be subdued. I think he's subdued about it. Like he doesn't want to talk about it. Like that's not his.
Okay. What about Oakley? Does he bring up Shraxus at all, or discuss it with Fenric, or are you waiting to see what Fenric does or becomes?
I think so. Yeah.
The latter? Sorry.
Yeah, the latter.
Okay. Caden, Moonbeam, what do you guys... Oh, sorry, Moonbeam, what are you doing in your evening?
I think that the evening is when Moonbeam does a lot of her divinations, a lot of her fortune telling. Because everybody stopped and she can get her cards out and do her readings. But also the moon comes up, which is, you know, sort of where she looks at the face of the moon to sort of see what the future holds.
Okay. Now, one thing you have found ever since hitting the way station, so it's only been a couple of weeks since then, it seems as if there is more and more folks who are not coming to you.
Oh.
There were people who were happily, you know, coming and getting their fortunes, and because there's very little else to do when you're in camp here other than, you know, finally when it's late enough going to bed and then getting up to travel the next day. But what you found is that number has dwindled down to like maybe a third or a quarter of what it was before. And if you happen to run into people, they are, you know, they're pleasant to you, but there's a little bit of standoffishness with them. Would Moonbeam ask about that in any given point? Like, would you ask of like, why aren't you coming anymore? Or would you like a reading? Or
it depends. Are these mostly humans?
It's mostly humans in the caravan, yeah.
Yeah, she would almost kind of be like,
thank God.
You know, oh yeah, like, you know, because I think she feels like telling their fortunes was like part of her payment for being a part of the caravan, and so it's like having to do less work for her.
Sure.
Like she sees it as a job, so it's like, oh, good, you know. So I think she hasn't been too nosy until Estebel sort of brought out this card, and I think now she's seen some insight into why they are not coming to her anymore.
Would she be curious as to what's going on with Estebel?
Maybe, you know, a little bit, but she wouldn't be, she's not nosy, I don't think. Like, she's not, you know.
Okay.
She feels she can see it. She doesn't need to ask questions. She can, if she wants to know about Estebel, she would divine Estebel's future, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, Sirocco, would you give us a intellect check with a boon, please? And Oakley, you can do the same, actually, with a boon. Wow. Oakley. So, Sirocco, what you know, Sirocco, is that I think that there was, like, initially when you guys set out into the caravan 2 months ago, or, you know, 2 months and change. I think we were like a couple of weeks into or a week into the travel when you guys had their first session. People initially were a little like uncertain as to how to take you, how to take Moonbeam, how to take Fenric, but it very much became like you guys were almost like mascots for them at a later point. You know, seeing the wolf run around through, it was a feeling of safety because something was keeping watch out, and seeing the harpy in the sky likewise was a feeling of safety and comfort. You have not noticed a change in yourself, but you have noticed a change in how some people are approaching Fenric as well. And what you remember from the readings that you were reading over, whether it's something that was discussed by Shraxus, or whether it was something you just happened to read on your own, you know that there was always... Shraxus never spoke well or spoke carefully about the Church of the High One. And you never really understood particularly why, but you had a feeling that there was tension between him as the warg wizard and the members of the faith. You're not really sure why, but you knew that, oh, those folks don't seem to be, you know, get along with or approve of wargs. And I don't think you knew more than that. Oakley, long ago, when the followers of the High One gathered in secret to perform their rites and rituals, lycanthropy expanded across the old country. This virulent, magical disease spread through saliva, transforming the afflicted into wild animals when the moon shone full. The two-natured would run amok, biting and tearing to feed their hunger. Some of their victims survived as carriers of the disease. The next full moon saw them transform too, to join the other wild things running through the woods. The nascent Church of the High One gained attention by taking a stand against the diseased. The church had the best intentions. Stopping the disease would save lives. However, many priests prescribed lycanthropy as a divine curse on those who had been touched by the adversary. Since anyone could be a lycanthrope, fear spread as people began suspecting their neighbors of harboring the diabolic curse. The church's solution was to round up the lycanthropes along with anyone suspected of carrying the disease and purify them with fire. Although many diseased and healthy people lost their lives to the purge, many more escaped to the old country and crossed the Salt Barrens to live out their lives in peace in the borderlands. The survivors learned to control themselves and use their transformation as a gift rather than a curse. Their descendants became the wargs, found today in the borderland and the new lands. That is the true history of the wargs that you know with that critical success. So you would see as well this, while Sirocco, you knew that, okay, wargs, they're not liked by the, you know, they have tension with the church. Oakley, you know the full particulars of why and where. Do you think that it is anything in the coming weeks, or as this becomes more apparent, that there is a contingent among the caravan that believe in the new god, and the fact that, do you think this is the first caravan of followers of the new god, the High One, that have made their crossing? Are there going to be more of that church waiting for you? So,
I'd have thought there'd be more.
So I don't know what your relationship is and your feelings towards Fenric are at this point, but do you think is something you might share with him?
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
How do you think that would have happened?
I think perhaps. What's your pattern, Fenric, at night? as I'm making a fire.
I think he sits sort of on the edge of the firelight, sharpening his sword, maybe, shining the sword a little bit, staring at it, if he's not patrolling the perimeter. So you definitely would have a chance to approach him in a, like a several different ways that you could approach him at that point.
Yeah. I think from the embers of a new fire, then, casting deep, long shadows, I would head towards you and say, Fenric, a word. Just the stories that I know of the past times and of your origins and the origins of your family. And I'll explain. I'll recount that and say, well, it was perhaps no surprise that those of the followers of the High One here, are reacting as they will. But just to say, not to be downhearted by that. I'm sure that you're not. You should not be.
I think Fenric, looking sort of distracted by his sword for a moment, would stare up at Oakley with some concern on his face, and understanding that the depths of their dislike for my kind would really hit home, I think, at that point. And he might feel a little bit embarrassed by the fact that he has exposed that he's a warg at this point to those that he's not as familiar with. So he will return a gaze to Oakley and say, I thank you, friend, for the warning, and I shall be ever vigilant.
And we are traveling to new lands, and we do not know what we will find. But in a way, we're also moving away from some of the prejudices of this area. So there may be new opportunities for those who are blessed as you are.
Well, we will go forth with cautious optimism then.
Good.
Let me quickly.
Fenric may also at some point make his way to Sirocco to relay that. Just not that Sirocco would be loose-lipped about his past, but just to share that with him, because he's probably feeling a lot of the same conflict. The old master would never allow this, Sirocco.
Would never allow this attitude towards us.
Or for us to travel with them. It's a different time.
I don't think they started this way when we started this journey, no?
I never detected it, but something's shifting them this way. Estebel for sure has changed. So I should just stay cautious, friend, for none of us want to return to a cage.
Well, that is certain.
And I'm certain that none of us have recently.
Yeah, I wonder if everyone knows Rocco was jailed temporarily.
If you want, give us a. I think it would more be an intellect for you, because it's concealing it rather than hiding. Why don't you give us an intellect check, and everyone give us an intellect check, and to see who you beat, Sirocco. And then we can judge on a critical success. They know what happened. That's great. It set people up for crits here. So Fenric, for the ones who succeed but don't get a Oakley, jeez Louise. Are you rolling anything other than 20s today?
All right.
Yeah, I have one.
That's awesome.
Stat.
So-
You keep asking for his main stat.
Fenric and Moonbeam, you know that something happened to Sirocco in the way station, but you're not sure what's actually happened. He hasn't said that. Oakley, you definitely know what's happened. So,
So maybe my comment about being in a cage is a little bit of a opening to Sirocco to see if he wants to confirm or deny.
he's a teen, dude. His eyes just start welling up with tears. You're like, oh, fuck, what did I, hold on. Let me replay. What did I just say? What is...
Yeah, sharp reaction at least of his mannerisms of like you know of a relatively benign comment. I mean, relatively at least. You know, Sirocco cages are never quite benign, but still, he has a pretty immediate reaction.
So, anything else that's of note in your evening routines, guys?
I think Sirocco may keep his eyes open going forward in the air for gatherings in the caravan. Like it's something if someone's holding some kind of talks, he's gonna keep a little eye open for that.
Sure.
I think from the air.
So, what you find, if that's in mind, we're assuming, like, we're kind of assuming this is stuff that's happened over the span of a couple of weeks, right? So this is not just one evening where all this stuff happens. Over the course of this, we're seeing all of these things happen. Sirocco, are you trying to keep yourself hidden while doing so? I will give you a boon on any such roll to keep yourself stealthy because people rarely look up.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's. I mean, he has an excuse of being in the air. He's the patrol guy, and I think he's just trying to make it look like he's doing his job. I mean, that's what he's hiding in plain sight, like he's just patrolling.
So I think give us an agility check with 2 boons.
Okay.
That's a good explanation for why he's up there. Okay. What you find is seemingly every dusk, as people are settling down, I don't know, did you point out, you didn't notice that Estebel had this placard, right?
Would you ask, did I notice? Is that what you asked?
I can't remember.
It could, I mean, like what I rolled, I'm not quite sure.
I can't remember if you...
I don't think I did great.
Hit an 8, I think.
8. Okay, yeah. So you definitely didn't. What you see is Caden and Moonbeam's friend Estebel, who has kind of joined your, every one of these caravans. You kind of ride together in certain days, especially. I mean, there's not inclement weather. It's one of the things about this is that every day seems to be interminably the same, right? There's not a change like, oh, we got some overcast weather today. It's the same fucking empty skies and scorching heat. I know. Hannah agrees. What you've noticed is that like Estebel sort of walks with your friends and then has dinner with you guys typically, or has for the first little bit. What you're noticing is that she's not being there as often, and you have noticed that she seems to be with a small grouping where I'm trying to think what your context for this would be, because you haven't really been in a church and you haven't been in a lecture. But it's one person who seems to be, perhaps it's like when Caden gives instructions to the caravan guards here, right? You see him collecting people together and one person talks in the group. And that's what's happening here. There's one person talking in the group, and a younger human, and there seems to be a book he has as well. And the way people, it's weird because it's not quite like when Caden does it, people have weapons and there's like, there's practices or drills that they seem to do. But that's not what's happening. This guy's just going and talking, and then everyone kind of goes on their way. So either he's a much better teacher than what Caden is, or he's a much worse teacher than what Caden is. What do you mean?
And the group is like a handful?
It's about, like of the 50 that are here, it's probably 10.
And Estebel, obviously you said Estebel is...
Estebel is among them, yeah.
And I will say, I think I focus on her a little bit more because she is, she kind of glommed onto our group a little bit, and because Sirocco's young and Estebel's a fetching a bit fetching human, and so he's like, hey, he's just naturally like, what are you doing?
Bagok. Hello.
Exactly. And when I take off in her presence, like I do with a little extra flourish when I get into the air, and
absolutely.
Oh, no one else flies here?
Yeah.
Huh. And I was like, whoosh.
Anyone who's had a son has experienced it. Like, don't be a dumbass.
Well, and he didn't have a father, so he's a lot of dumbass to be had. So it hurts him a little bit. Like it's a little more like he can brush off people he doesn't know. But Estebel, he kind of like I think it's going to affect him more because he's like, maybe she pays a little less attention to him or whatever.
Actually, I will tell you that is something. While there's been less attention, if it's brought to your attention, I think you didn't succeed on that thing, but like Fenric is being treated differently. Moonbeam is seeing less people around. Estebel is not treating you differently yet. So, I mean, it's not to say she ever will necessarily, but you have not noticed that she's been any different than she typically is with you. And I think she likes it. Like if you're, kind and whatever else to her, she'll be very helpful. She's a member of, like, she's a performer as well. So she enjoys kind of in the same way that Moonbeam is a fortune teller and Caden was muscle at the caravan and Juggler was, well, oddly enough, he was a baker. It was really weird. But no, he was a juggler. And though he doesn't have any recollection of having done that, Estebel did something at the caravan as well as part of a performance, whether that's like a tumbler or something else. But what you're seeing is, I imagine, given the context you've just given, she is looking at the person who is doing the talking the way you hoped she would look at you.
He can't fly, I noticed.
Exactly.
And I think I would respond in one way to be, not at the moment, but to be nice, to try to even turn up the niceness to Estebel, since I'm not sure I even know how to flirt. That's my, I'm just trying to be nice and extra like, hey,
so you're a teenage
anything?
Boy. Got it. Yeah.
Right. Yep. And I'll respond to the others, my friends by being concerned for Estebel. I'll tell the party and I'll say, that I don't know. What do you think this is about? And it'll be mainly a concern for Estebel and
So I imagine like Caden and Moonbeam are the ones who are closest to her, but you've all sort of got to know her a little bit. I think that if Fenric is, depending on how Fenric is in his wolf form too, I think it would be hard not to be, affectionate to something in a wolf form as well. So she may very much like you in your wolf form, Fenric, depending on how scary that is. Oakley, I don't know. How do you interact with Estebel? Do you think?
She seems a bright star. So I will probably admire, but sort of awkwardly and quietly from afar.
Okay. So then, Sirocco, it's likely Caden and Moonbeam who you'd want to bring the point to. Among the two of you guys, who of you do you think is closer with Estebel?
Imagine Moonbeam, probably. That's a fellow performer. I was just the big dumb brute that kept everyone in line and made sure the festival was safe. So I think probably Moonbeam.
So then
probably.
That would be who to approach.
Yeah, I think also probably have some solid awkward questions for you, Moonbeam, of like, you think she likes me? Like, I'm trying to work my way towards that a little bit. It starts with a concern of like, what's this about? Like, there's these weird meetings, this young guy, and then like, what do you think she thinks of me? I'm just curious. I'm just like, when I'm around her, does she act different? Like this kind of, awkward, straight, classic questions.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
What do you think, Moonbeam? What do you think?
I don't think she likes you, no. Not in that way.
I will point out, it's especially painful because that dagger comes with 1d6 extra bonus damage now.
Wow.
I could divine your future with her if you'd like.
Yeah. Oh, I'd prefer that. Thank you. Yes. Let's get a divination.
Do you want to truthfully give a divination, or do you want to? Are you gonna?
I'll try and I'll really try to do it. I mean, Sirocco's kind of my friend, so let's. I don't know. Is there an actual role for this?
I'm taking a look at your ability here. Let's see.
Let's see here.
Do you have any magical?
I have Pronounce Doom, which is like an attack spell. I have Interpret Omen, which is like I can change people's luck roll or attribute roll by ±3.
Do you have Divination? Is that the school that you took?
Yeah, that is.
Oh, okay,
and
cool.
I have this one is just like combat one. If I'm not injured or confused or controlled or stunned or unconscious, I can gain 1 boon and I impose a bane on attacks.
Okay.
But I don't have an actual spell that is like look into the future for a character.
Let's take a look here.
We don't know that.
Yeah, and I think that there's an element of uncertainty with the cards anyway.
Right.
Why don't you give us a intellect check with 1 boon?
All right, here we go. Intellect with boon. Submit. Nice.
Okay.
It's our connection, Moonbeam. It's our connection.
Yes.
So, when you make your... Tell us a little bit about what the nature of your reading you think is. Like, do you lay cards out? Is there magic?
It's sort of like tarot, but like I get the person to stand in one spot, and I lay the cards in a circle around them, and it's sort of then she tells their future in sort of like a clock pattern around them. And so it's a lot similar to tarot, where the cards themselves tell the story. But I think in this case, it's probably a journey, and I probably take like the maiden card out of the deck and like lay it in the last position, and then like lay a trail from the beginning over to the maiden to see how their future will end up together.
Okay. What you find as you set it out, I think that you step back and took a look at this, and we talked last time how you kind of like put you collected some stones, right, that will allow you to hold them down while you are exposed to the winds and whatnot of this.
Right. This is happening out in nature. Yeah.
So you do this too, and there's a couple of things you notice. For one, the reading is, if there is a sense of stakes that come from a reading in this, like something maybe like I'll give you a rough idea of the potential path ahead, because the future is very uncertain, especially if you're not working magic. It's very difficult to predict. Especially when you're not actually using magic. You are just trying to rely on fortunate things. But the reading around Sirocco is really unusual because of you would think that the fate of the world would be at stake with the cards that have come up. These are all extraordinarily consequential things. And as Sirocco is there is always just an element of experimental, arcana that he's involved with. So sometimes just weird things will happen, particularly given his predilection for wind magics. He is not affected by wind any days now. Like, even in the worst of weather, he's able to soar up without difficulty because of these things he's picked up, partly from tutoring with Gunnar and partly because of his own natural gifts. And as such, what happens, as is always the case, a wind comes by through this, but you've got your stones down, locking them in place. Whatever weird magics he's worked on himself has redirected that, and 3 cards have been pushed out at different angles to be a little more prominent than the others. And the portent of those, the meaning of those cards are grace, righteousness, selflessness. Grace, righteousness, and selflessness.
Yeah.
And this doesn't... You were looking at their futures together, and this seems strange.
Very strange.
And you hear low, dry thunder coming across the plains. Or the plains, plains, I guess, salt barrens. And it catches you. This is just a natural consequence. If Gunnar is calling in clouds every day, the climate just sort of responds to it. So you know this is something you've grown used to. But every time you hear it, it's so strange. And it seems to go on forever in an environment like this. You look away and you look back. The cards are all inverted now. Sorry, those 3 cards are inverted.
Oh, goodness.
The inversion of those: death, transgression, domination.
Shoot, I don't know that I want to tell Sirach what she's seeing here.
How do you think Moonbeam's poker face is, or tarot face?
So you're a fortune teller, so why don't you give us an intellect with a boon for your fortune teller? Sirocco, I think you're just... Tell me if I've got this wrong. You really want it to be good news, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm staring at Moonbeam like, what?
Give us give us a intellect check with Bane, please, Sirocco.
Oh, man.
Ooh. Unexpectedly good.
So Moonbeam can hide it, but it's not... Wait, did you roll nat 20? No, 19.
No, it's
Yeah.
Wowzers. So... you are going to be able to hide it from him, Moonbeam, but it's not a critical success, so it's not like... So how do you want to interpret that? Sirocco is very eager to hear about his fate.
Yeah, and I'm just staring at you. I'm just burning a hole at you right now, Moonbeam.
Right.
Moonbeam, this has, in your years of being a fortune teller, never has there been as portentous a reading as what you've just seen, nor have you seen this inversion ever happen. It's almost as if someone was playing a trick on you, you would think.
Oh, Sirocco, this reading is very clear to me.
What?
There's a 50-50 chance of good fortune or poor fortune.
What help is that?
I know. It is not very helpful, but you see these cards, they're inverted. That never happens. That is not to happen.
What's that even mean?
A dual future. You stand on a knife's edge. Your decisions must be made very carefully.
Oh, no pressure, I say.
No pressure,
No pressure.
but please think very carefully.
About what?
Any decision you make, you must be focused. And
About
also,
what?
everything.
Everything.
Please consult with me on any major life decisions.
We have a monthly plan that we can...
Ask me how. Ask me.
Yeah. When you need to know, come and see me.
Okay.
It's too the far future is too cloudy, but I can see you stand on a knife's edge.
Is this how these always go?
This has never gone this way.
Oh my gosh. No pressure.
No pressure, but everything is balanced on your fine little feet.
What? What about Estebel? You haven't mentioned her.
Is it? What's the near? Like, does it? There's nothing that really foretells to her, really.
This is you were looking into their future.
So I think what I would say is like this all pertains to her. Somehow she is key to this.
To what?
She's either the love of your life or your worst enemy. I'm not sure.
What? Is this how this always goes?
But you are connected to her.
This is all beautifully a teenager's understanding of relationships as well, too.
This is how it goes. No, it never goes like this.
It's either your best friend or your worst enemy. Can't we just be cool with each other? Like, nope.
No, not at all. This is it. Yeah, one. So
these readings aren't for comfort, I take it, Moonbeam. I say.
Normally, when I do not foretell the whole truth, I add in some words of comfort, but as we are friends and this is of high importance, I feel you need the truth.
I think I look kind of crestfallen and I slink away. I mean, I don't know what to make of all that. That is way too much. That's too much. I might
That's what he was thinking.
I might even mutter, "You should have lied," and I mutter, and I kind of like, and I sort of slink off.
I love it.
So Caden, Jamie said his PC crashed. He'll be back in a moment. I mean, I'll put the link to the.
So
hell,
good.
I got to get the.
You should have lied. He mutters.
Would let's see here. Would Oakley and Caden each give us a intellect check with a boon, please? It's Oakley's 16-sided dice. It's not that it's 16 sides, it just only gets 16 on it.
Yeah.
So I think with Sirocco going away, whatever, when this happens, whenever you guys are milling around, you can see Moonbeam is collecting her cards up. And I think very unlike her, tell me if I got this wrong, Jeff, like there's one or two times where you pick the stone up too quickly and then the thing blows away and you have to kind of catch it and you go back for the stone. And like, you can tell Moonbeam's clearly kind of rattled by something.
Oh, she's rattled.
I think Caden would walk over and maybe catch one of the cards as it blows away under his boot. So as he hands it over, everything okay? You seem a bit shook up.
Oh, I just foretold Sirocco's future, and I've seen things I've never seen before.
Really, something troubles you?
Yes. Even though I placed the cards under stones, a breeze came and somehow inverted them. As if a magical hand or the hand of the gods themselves touched the cards.
Maybe you need bigger stones.
Much bigger.
There's something we should be looking out for.
Please keep an eye on him. I warned him to be cautious. And
I was about to say that's difficult to do. A, he can fly, and B, his self-preservation instincts aren't particularly well developed yet.
I tried to warn him, and I'm hoping that he will at least be more thoughtful in his actions. But the young are
keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
Aye, they are.
I will also keep an eye on him. Maybe between us we can keep him safe.
Winds of magic flow a little differently out here, you might find, Moonbeam.
Oh, Oakley, I can see you there.
Sorry to hear that you're troubled. cards, I believe, didn't speak.
You didn't
Quite
do
as you
that,
expected.
did you?
Oh my goodness, no. I did not have that power.
Oh, good.
But there are powers out there that obviously do. And I think you're right to be a little worried.
Good. I'm glad I haven't misread this, but I think there is a chance that Sirocco and Estebel are both very important, not just to our journey, but to some larger picture.
Hmm.
Anything further you guys wish to discuss about the reading?
I think
And
Sirocco
Sirocco
had go ahead.
Well, I
What's
say, Sirocco, you actually hadn't even shared what you saw about Estebel. It was all about you.
True. Well, I mean, I intended on sharing the, well, at least with Moonbeam, for sure. I think I shared what I saw. Like, I'm concerned about her. What do you think, Moonbeam? Like, I brought what my original, like, she's in this little group. It's a little weird. And then I worked my way towards, what do you think she thinks of me? That kind of, into the awkward questions.
Moonbeam.
Did he hint at the fact that he saw her, like, making goo-goo eyes at this other person?
I probably said it awkwardly. Like I said, the way she looks at him, it bothers me, and you're like, okay, calm down. Like it was kind of obvious to you. I'm trying to make it sound adultish, but I'm probably not doing very well.
And I think you probably don't know who, because you don't, interact with humans unless, you kind of have to, you probably wouldn't have an idea who this person might be.
No, I'm not really sure.
Caden probably does, though, if you did want to know. If he's making his way through as things, and Oakley likewise, and actually Fenric for that matter too, because they're making more regular interactions with everybody. Oakley helps everyone start their fires every night. Caden, is the captain of the guards, as it were.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could get Sirocco to point out who this person is to us.
Yeah, do you guys? Where would they find
someone to
Sirocco?
keep an eye on?
I think Sirocco has to return because I think he'd launch into his comfort private space, which is of course the sky. So he launches off into the darkness to be by himself.
Yeah.
But then he comes back, like he pouts,
playing the song, same power ballad 100 times as he's circling around. Yep.
And there is some quality pouting going on, just some this ground bound human. It's unreal. Like it's just, what does he have? So I probably make some inappropriate thoughts of what I do to this ridiculous interloper, and then return. Sure, then return. I return back. I get hungry. I probably get hungry, and then I return for a snack.
Yeah. So you guys would find you're all kind of kicking around when Sirocco comes back, and it sounds like the hangdog, expression on his face is going to be easy for everybody to recognize.
And I'm digging around in a bag for a snack or so. I'm getting into the supplies a little bit.
Roots around through a full refrigerator and then declares there's nothing to eat. I get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh God. So then we'll probably approach him. Sirocco, do you think you could indicate to us which human you saw Estebel with?
Is there anything else in here? I've had this for 4 days. There's got to be something else, and I'm deep in this bag. And I'm like, who are you looking for? And I'm my whole head's in the bag now.
The human that you mentioned to me earlier.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that one. Could you point him out to us?
And I kind of come out of the bag, giving you a look like, yeah, I'll point him out. I'll point him out, all right.
Maybe describe him first before there's an incident.
And he can quite easily. Like he's got a distinctive kind of clothing. He doesn't dress like a rich person, but he dresses like a university student. Appropriate to the setting in the world, of course. And Caden, you would know precisely who he is talking about. It is a addition to the caravan named Polter Viscerad.
I'll describe him in appropriately critical ways.
Yeah. He's far too tall. His skin is just disgustingly clear, and his hair does not always look blown just in the right way by the wind.
Feet have never left the ground. Never.
Never. Not once. Not once.
Not once. Not one time.
Polter, yes. Yeah, he joined at the way station. He's one of the hangers-on we picked up. He seemed nice enough.
Yeah.
If you like that.
Pitching in.
Sure.
For Moonbeam, did you share any of the particulars of what your reading was? The three things initially that you saw, and then the inversions you saw afterwards.
The
reason I ask is
probably I probably would have been still holding those 3 cards when Caden came up to help me pick up the cards, and I probably would have told him, grace flipped to death, righteousness flipped to transgression, and selflessness flipped to domination.
So, Caden, because you rolled that crit before, you happen to be familiar at least with no doubt because you were in a military academy, right? So they're probably, that might make sense. So, Fenric, you actually may know this as well. 3 virtues that are recognized by devotees of the High One: grace, righteousness, and selflessness or mercy. The way to paradise, as far as the Church of the High One is concerned, is by living a righteous life or a virtuous life. Grace, righteousness, and selflessness.
You stray from that path, you reap damnation for your transgressions after death. It's not a faith I follow, but it could be
And not necessarily damnation, but no access to paradise. Which I guess is a damnation in and of itself. So.
These are the new gods? Tenants?
Yeah.
Yeah, the what they call them, the High One.
The High One, yes. Right. That is the card that we saw Estebel holding.
Yes, of I believe their founding father, John Swell.
Yeah.
It's quite a popular sort of mythical figure.
And John Swell's got a bit of an interesting backstory to him as well, because he murdered his father, the king, in order to become the ruler of Alara. And just as he was about to solidify his rule, it all fucking fell apart, and he had to run for his life. The only place he could find to hide was an island called Atomos. Atomos was populated by some of the most fanatical religious maniacs, exceedingly violent. He washed up on their shore, and they gave him a choice of either eating the bread of wisdom, which is effectively a poisonous, hallucinogenic mushroom, or being killed by them, because they do not take kindly to outsiders. But it said John Swell ate the bread of wisdom, fell into a fever for a day, and awoke able to espouse the 77 lines of the trials of Atomos. He seemed favored by them, and though there were some among the Atomosans who believed him and some who didn't believe him, he left rather than causing a split in the church, and his version of their faith that he brought to the mainland is what became the dominant faith after Princess Rana had her vision of the red comet.
Hmm.
So, anything else you guys wish to discuss before dinner? Sirocco, does that, now that it's pointed out to you who this person is, and I think Estabel eventually arrives back with you guys, is there any food? I'm sorry, I was late. Is there still food?
Who is that, Kevin? That's Estabel?
Estabel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I give her what I was going to eat, and I say, yeah, it's there's I found some different. I mean, a little different. I
Thank
found
you.
some. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, Sirocco. How are you?
I'm good. Are you good? I'm good. Did you? What did you? What'd you do today?
Oh, we just talked and learned. And you see she's still gripping that placard, although she's kind of hiding it from you guys. How was your day, everyone? And she sees you maybe kind of still putting cards away, Moonbeam. Did you do a reading?
I'm always doing readings, you know that. Well, less and less, but...
Have you had your reading done, Estabel?
She gets a look on her face where it's clear she's very awkward. And her eyes immediately go to Moonbeam. And no.
Not for... I probably know how many days.
Yeah.
Not
And
for,
it's definitely something like, because, I imagine like you're a welcome member of the carnival, they probably come to you, for those who did believe. And she was one of the ones who would have been welcomed your insight.
Right.
You should give it a shot. I know you're seeking knowledge, it sounds like, and Moonbeam's got a lot to say sometimes.
I don't want that kind of knowledge. And then she kind of realizes, I'm sorry, Moonbeam, I didn't mean it. I don't want a reading. And she sort of begins tucking into the food that you gave her.
I don't take it as an insult. Some people can't handle their future.
Do you say that?
Yeah.
Her eyes look up at you, and maybe it's just the campfire that in it, but like there's quite literally fucking fire in her eyes right now as she looks at you for a second.
Yeah. Well, he wants to start shit.
I don't know. I've never had a daughter, only sons. I'm not sure angered teenage girls really what you're...
No, well, I don't know. Moonbeam's just like, I don't know. She's a human and she's being snotty, and so, And
I think Sirocco would pipe in and say, "You've changed. You changed, Estabel."
Mm-hmm.
This is where, if you wanted Moonbeam, you rolled there's a nat 1 you need to assign to somebody. If you really want to get her inability to control herself, you certainly could assign that to her.
Yeah, that would be good. I will give her that nat 1 on her reaction to Sirocco.
So she
comment.
Stomps on and like stands up indignant as she can be, and which is probably impressive because she is a performer too. So it is a real pissed off sudden stand up, and she says, "I wouldn't expect a monster to know," and then she storms off elsewhere.
I think Sirocco's locked in, like didn't see that coming, and is just kind of staring after her.
Yeah. What's the expression on Sirocco's face right now? Shock or?
Yeah, probably shock. Like a lot happened in about 2 seconds, and he's like, "So, wow, like what?" Like, and he already had just like the weight of the entire universe dumped on him by Moonbeam Longsight a few minutes ago, or like 15 minutes ago, and now this? Are you serious? What?
Yeah.
So he just, yeah.
Look what you people made her do.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He hasn't quite gotten there, but he's working on it. He's digesting.
Yeah.
I think I'd come over and I can't really pat him on the shoulders because I'm too short, but I try to comfort him and say, careful decisions, friend. Careful decisions.
You think she's our friend still?
As I said, I've seen the possibility of both, but monster, that was harsh. I think your feathers look lovely.
So it's because I'm a harpy? You think that's what she was referring to?
I do believe so.
Do you think she feels the same way about Fenric? Or just harpies?
She probably sees all of us as monsters that are not
Really?
human. Is that one of the tenets of their new god, Kevin? The
New God doesn't discriminate against non-humans, although there are folks who would use that as an excuse.
Right.
Yeah. It's also since the declaration of the two pontiffs, it has gotten fucking wild with the other heresies that have gone on. So there is some very peculiar interpretations of the faith, many of which are described in the Glory to the High One supplement.
Nice.
Right.
It's worth noting, this is all canonical shit I'm talking about too, guys. I'm not introducing anything else outside yet. So, how do we end our evening?
It sounds like maybe with Sirocco weeping a little.
Or drinking. Do we have alcohol?
Or drinking. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
what's that little kid meme? Why not both?
Yeah. He's sullen. I think he's sullen.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not necessarily crying, but he's upset.
Between Estebel and Moonbeam with his, don't make any decisions about what? What are you talking about?
So, we guys shockingly have to take our mid-session break already because the time is flying. So, want to take our mid-session break now, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. We'll hear how the next couple of weeks go. So, for those listening at home, back in 5 minutes. All right. Hey, everybody in chat. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend thus far. Thanks for joining us back in the Salt Barrens. Hope you brought a drink. That was everyone's hold picture, or is their portrait? Is yours that too? Does that automatically do that in Roll20 now?
Oh, I don't know.
Because you see how everyone else is, they turn their cameras off, but it's their... No,
No,
yours
they
is
must have set
Karn.
that.
Yeah,
they
yours
must
is...
have set that.
Yeah, that's
It's,
cool.
I think if you, in the chat box, say as your character,
Oh, in the
it changes
what-
it to
Is that ever cool?
your avatar rather than whatever you normally have.
Oh, neat. I think you guys are all more responsible with your camera control. I always leave it on.
yeah. Wait, where is that?
You know, in the where it says send, it says as with a drop down
Oh, yeah.
at the bottom of the where the results are displayed, the chat box.
Oh, yeah.
What?
So
And that
the
changes?
bottom right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. See now you're
Yeah, Moonbeam.
Oh,
Is that ever neat? Okay.
nice.
So, while we're waiting for everyone to get back, why don't you each give, David and Jeffrey, would you each give us a 3d6 roll, please? No consequence, I'm sure, here.
Holy 3d6 5? That's low.
Okay. We're just waiting for others to get back. All right. Oh, back. Okay, Fanric is back as well. And it's actually it's like 8 degrees here right now and sunny. So Anna Banana did not want to. She wanted to go in the backyard, but then just wanted to just go sit in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you can't sit out here, so.
No, come back home. No.
Yeah, no. It's madness. All right. Okay, so then it was a 3-6. So the. Ooh. David, would you mind giving us a 1, 2, 3? Give us a D5 roll, please. Okay. Let's see here. Yes. Would you give us a D20 roll, please, David?
okay.
Okay. And then a D6 roll, please. And then a D20 roll, please. Okay. Okay. So there are, in the next, unless there's anything further you guys wish to roleplay about this evening, we're going to skip forward and talk about a couple of weeks. Is there anything that anybody wishes to change about the routine we've talked about in the coming weeks? Either in light of what Sirocco has, or what Moonbeam has revealed through Sirocco's reading, or what you guys have learned?
I think Sirocco's a little quieter. A little bit less outgoing, a little less carefree.
I think
Like
at
the
one point
burden-
Gunnar would definitely say something then. It's like, you all right
Yeah, like
there,
the
lad?
of like a burdens of the world a little bit. Let's see. Soraka would say,
You can't carry those things if you're expecting to be flying. What's going on? Dialogue provided by your weekend special, I guess.
Estabel's changed, Gunther. Others have too, but I've noticed it most in her. She called me a monster.
She's been hanging around that Viscerad fella.
Yes.
And we've seen their kind. Their church and the military with it. The old country was headed for chaos in any event, but it was pushed along to it by them. It seems that they were not satisfied to burn down the old. They wish to bring their same mistakes to the new. Sometimes people will be changed by the things they believe. But she's young, as are you. Things could. Newtown is not called that because it is simply a place built of late. It remains Newtown because it's a new start and a new world. She may find that those beliefs are no longer applicable or have a place. But more importantly, you have a whole new life that awaits you on the other side of the Barrens. If she has hurt your feelings now, it will grow less stinging with time, and you may find this to be a long forgotten or quickly forgotten experience once you get there. Many who travel the Barrens are happy to put it and all that happened on it behind that. You are no monster, boy.
It would have been easier if she started this way rather than changed into it. And if she wasn't quite as pretty.
There is the rub. Have you done your scouting?
Some. I came back for a snack, but I'll be going back up.
Back up. There's plenty of more people in the new in the Borderlands. You have a whole new life that necessitates leaving things behind.
I look forward to it.
I expect.
I'm getting better at the, and I go into a little magical. Whatever.
Yeah. And it's impressive. Do you think you fuck it up, or do you think you successfully pull it off?
What I do right then, I think it's got problems. I'm still,
Yeah.
I'm still.
It's looking good. It's looking good. Anyone else have anything they wish to change? No? Everyone's in there.
So I think two things from Caden. Not something that's necessarily a change, but I think now and then he would ask Fenric for a sparring session, because while training these guards is all fun, and it's not really a challenge in terms of having someone to actually spar against. And seeing as him and Fenric train in the same academy, he wants someone to actually keep the old forms alive. But in terms of as a change, I think he'll keep a closer eye on Polter, just to make sure he's not like stirring up. You know, we will get through the Salt Warrens as a group, and if he's creating rifts and going like, ooh, these monsters over there, or creating divisions in the caravan, that could become a problem further down the line. So I think Caden will just keep an eye out.
Yeah, I think what you would observe with him is it's the fledgling pastor / cult leader stuff with him. There's a lot of like homilies and little aphorisms that he cracks out. He has, oh gosh, I forgot the name of it. He has a copy of the, I want to say, it's not the Book of Illumination. It's something like that. Codex of Illumination. He has a copy of the Codex of Illumination, which is the holy text of that. And yeah, I don't know. Like he definitely is treated with a lot of deference, the way that like in a religious community, someone was standing in a church might be. He doesn't wear any trappings of the church though, because as you can imagine, like there's a lot of, you know, ersatz Catholicism in the version of the new faith or the way it's presented. Particularly, there's masks that seem to be involved with a lot of the priests. He's not wearing any of that stuff, but he definitely carries himself like, you know, a wannabe, you know, religious community leader. Gunnar also offers to give him, you know, he suggests that perhaps Polter needs a little more, you know, latrine duty or something similar, Sabracco.
Indeed.
What was the second thing? Sorry, Caden?
Just some sparring session.
Oh, sparring with Fenric, yeah.
So the academy forms, you know, fluid and alive rather than just training these.
Okay. Anything anyone else wishes to do?
I think Fenric would have a similar sentiment to Caden here. He would use the sparring session not so much out of the fact that he's looking for the challenge, but that he can have a private conversation with Caden. He's got his suspicions about Polter, and is probably spending half of his time when he's patrolling the perimeter trying to spy on Polter and his workings versus the oncoming creatures and things in the elements here. So I think during the sparring sessions he may you know, be relaying with Caden what he's seeing, and you know, that he doesn't have a good feeling about their faith and it coexisting with us.
So what the gist of his teachings are is that Jean Suel was found by the High One, by the new god, after a period of violence and civil war. Princess Rana found the High One and brought the church to dominance, or to ascent at least, in a civil war, and in the process of the world seemingly falling apart. In both cases, they were faced with non-believers and those who follow the devils passing as gods, who are truly, and unbeknownst perhaps to their followers, but truly agents of the adversary instead. And it is so, again, the old country has collapsed. There is a new land where the devils reign. And once again, the High One shall redeem the faithful and give them dominion over these realms by driving the devils out and bringing the unfaithful to the faith. Through chaos, bringing the wayward to paradise. And this has a great deal of root, it seems, in an increasingly large segment of the caravan. Not for nothing, many of the people who were here are likely lapsed believers in the High One, because it was the dominant faith for a very, very long time. So this is what you guys are, and you can picture, you know, in the darkness, you know, Poulter is talking to these people, and then if the light caught just enough, you'd see these two wolf eyes in the darkness listening in to what's going on. And you'd be sharing this as you guys are sparring swords. And Caden, you have a full understanding of the kind of, because you're critical earlier, I think you've got a really good comprehensive understanding of what the particulars of the faith are. Maybe you had a really religious roommate, you know, initially when you were at the military academy. And it's the way this guy talks is kind of similar to a really like wackadoo and minority sect before things really went to pot called the Redeemers. Viewed by the church before the two pontiffs as a heresy, but who the hell knows what doctrine is now, so how can you say what is heresy?
Do I, from what Fenrig and I discussed, do I get a sense that Poulter's sort of type who would start something while we're crossing the Salt Barrens? Like all of his talk of, you know, civil war and tragedy begets the favor of the High One. Like, is he a danger to us, or is this just him, you know, having an eager audience and grandstanding and putting all of his plans on the new world, or is it, like, might he try and start something?
So Fenric and Caden, why don't you each give us a intellect check? Let's see what kind of read you got on this guy. I think you would get a boon because you're that landholder, so you're used to sort of trying to get a read on people. You're a mugger, so I'm not sure that one necessarily comes in. Yeah. He is in the euphoric phase of a faith, or he hasn't seemingly crushed over into the and now we're going to kill everybody because they're going to, you know. So if you talk to him whatsoever, it's not like he only needs to speak about this, and he's a pretty charming kid. But it's curious that the only thing he seems to have is this codex, the Codex of Illumination. He doesn't have a lot of the other trappings that would come with the faith, and perhaps that's what appeals. The idea of it being stripped down and return to basics, you know, the way John Sewell would have spoken to people before he was killed by unbelievers. It also suggests, I think, that he probably didn't have any experience in the clergy before this. While he may be a student, if he was a seminarian, he would have other, accoutrement of the Church of the High One. But as far as you can tell, these are genuine beliefs, and as far as you can tell, it's not like he's going to turn on everyone. But I mean, the way he's described his faith and the future of the faithful, this doesn't bode well for people who follow other gods.
Someone to keep an eye on then.
Anything else you guys wish to do over those weeks before we see what the results of those rolls were?
Only good things, no doubt. Only good things.
Definitely.
I think I might just have another quick word with Fenric.
Sure.
Just to say, you may know, Fenric, you may already know, but having had some time in the Borderlands and the New Lands in my past, the wargs, they are traditionally the foes of who was the Weird Wizard. And if you're looking for expectations and alignment across into these new lands, just have a mind as to how traditionally your blessed people were perceived by the once overlord of this place. It might be worth just knowing that. And there may be an occasion where it will be of use to you.
One just point of clarity, because they got all the stuff in the new lands are to the east, which is where the weird wizard was dominant. The old country is to the west. The borderlands is sort of the middle ground where they didn't necessarily have sway one way or the other. But you're absolutely correct that the people who would have had one either favorable dealings or stood against the weird wizard, they would definitely have those feelings. Everything you've just said about the wargs is absolutely true.
There's wisdom in your caution, Oakley. I thank you, friend, for this. I fear what purpose Poulter has for us if we continue down this path together. So, Kaden and I are keeping an open eye.
That is good. I feel better knowing that. For it is just people. And they will disappoint you.
This we can agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I just lost my page. Here we go. All right, guys. About 2 weeks in, there is a really nasty storm that hits, and there is a particularly... Imagine a cross between like an armadillo and a crocodile. And that is what seems to come in the midst of this storm while you guys are trying to like batten down the caravan and keep people safe. Something that is able to not necessarily move through the earth, but move so closely to it that it's able to get up and get to you. We're not going to roll through it like a full combat encounter, but what we're going to do is have you guys tell us what you did to try and drive these things off or keep people safe or recover from the injured, and we'll make a check to see what the impact is on the overall caravan based on your decisions. Feel free to take advantage of any spells or other special abilities that you may have in order to do so. So we can picture the wind is howling. I'll spare you me putting on the artificial wind sound once again, much as I really like doing that. Yeah, I don't think you've been had that inflicted on you yet, Graham. I used to put like wind sounds for any of our like, what do you call it? Every other campaign that I run that has fucking Arctic conditions in it. But yeah, to the point where Colin, Darren's brother, would sometimes like take his headphones off and see if like someone left a window open. So what do you guys do to protect against this?
So I think Fenric's instinct here would be to be in wolf form and use his speed to try to pull them away from the group or distract them, at least to give the group more space.
Yep.
So that they can navigate the terrain away from it and hopefully towards some protection.
Are you thinking like a agility check? You're trying to be agile and you take advantage of your speed?
Yeah, I think that's where he's going to go here.
Go ahead and give us an agility check then, with at least one boon. Do you think you have any other? Your speed is a factor here, so that's going to give you a boon. Do you think there's anything else that would weigh in your favor or be detrimental?
No, I think this is just something he's used to doing. Probably on his open land a little bit, which would be more. Less towards a threat, but in this case, he's going to try to use it.
So it'll be that
was most unfortunate.
So you guys do have your fortune. I was going to say this is not a 10, unfortunately. It's a 12 you're trying to roll against, but that's okay. There were around 50 members of this caravan. That is 10%. Gone. You could fortune that, but that is your only fortune that the group has right now.
I won't say anything about it. You all
Okay.
tell me if you want to.
Who would like to roll next? Oh, what are you thinking, Oakley?
I'm thinking that if I can sense that this is unfolding, that there's kind of like a dissembling to the caravan due to these conditions, I will cast lasting light
Okay.
to basically illuminate the caravan very clearly, even in amongst the storm. If I just pop that into the
Yeah, sure.
last 8
You should be able
hours.
to click on it, and it should display.
Oh, does it? How do I
think
do
so.
it? How do I click on it?
I don't know,
The
guys.
die button? The little die button.
Oh, the dice. Cheers. Thank you. Yeah, got it. There you go.
Awesome.
And in a way, I'm trying to make it a beacon to guide people back to the caravan, having been pulled apart because of the storm and
Love it.
so on.
Yep. So give us a. You're also a prospector, and you're going to have to deal with these inclement conditions. Give us. What do you think? That's intellect or will, maybe?
It might actually be will in this.
Give us a will check with 2 boons.
Nice.
And 12 is the number you're going against. That's sort of the abstract difficulty of these.
So do I select test or do I
Crocodillos.
put will?
Sorry?
Is it test? Do I put test in or will on the drop down? Does it matter?
How do you guys make a will check?
It's really just, I think, notation. It's not mechanical.
It's notation. No. Okay.
Right.
Great.
I think it's
Got you.
notation.
Look at that.
Oh.
Oh. So you've done that. But absent any, remember it's a 12. That is another 10% loss to the crocodillos. Who would like to go next?
I think Hayden will try and capitalize on the light beacon and get the people he trained to be sort of extra guards, to sort of put that training to good use. So he'll be shouting orders, and trying to get them to form up and be coordinated and work together in driving these creatures off. So if he'll see them head towards like a particular wagon, and sort of shout orders to defend that wagon and drive them back.
Okay.
So just try and get the guards organized.
You thinking will or int?
Yeah, I think probably will to sort of
Okay.
impose order and keep everyone together.
And I think between your military academy training and the training you've been doing with them, that'll be 2 boons. So will check with 2 boons, please. 12 is what you're looking for. Oh. %. I think you can picture in the swirling sand that's going around, there's the light that Oakley has cast up. One of your guards is going by, and then you see he's taken down by a crocodillo that has. I really should have thought through that name to have something a little less silly for 30% of your caravan being mauled by these things, but such is the way these things go. Sirocco and Moonbeam, what are you guys thinking? And I should say, there is still fortune that anyone could use.
And,
I was
Moonbeam, didn't your cards predict any of this?
I was gonna say I actually have a new spell that I took that is like that changes people's luck. So I think that maybe she's like actually actively trying to, save people sort of one at a time by like, small changes to their luck of, who's getting mauled and who's not, essentially, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think that's probably intellect then, if you're working magic.
Yeah.
Right? And then your fortune teller would come in for 1 boon.
Perfect. All right, here we go. And are we always supposed to be picking test for the target ability or the thing that it's rolling against?
I think that's the thing. I don't think it matters.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Look at that. There you go.
Nice.
So perhaps there's like two, a mother and daughter who are running along towards the light where Caden has got everything sealed, and you can see one of the crocodillos is rolling up and about to leap up, and your luck just hits so a table that's part of the caravan gets blown over and kind of hits this thing enough to skew its bite so it misses them and then goes back into rolling once again. Sirocco, it's down to you.
So I think he's he's trying to provide information. He's from above and pointing to where they're coming.
Yep.
Using his keen vision, and if he gets close enough, at times he can dart in for jolting them with a little lightning. He's also using something he's been working on that probably others haven't seen yet, which is asking the spirits
Please
to
tell me a dance routine.
Well, it's a ritual. It does involve a ritual.
Okay.
That to make his skin more bark-like and tough. That's a talent he has.
But rituals are like 10 minutes, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm just throwing that in for narrative. I'm not actually suggesting.
Well, what's interesting though is your protection from elements thing makes you immune to the deleterious effects of winds. So the two things that I can think of from that is, one, you're absolutely free to move, and two, your voice isn't going to be drowned out by it. So you doing that and kind of swirling around and giving instructions.
Yep. Trying to point out.
Yeah. So let's say will would be the kind of, I think, way of trying to like command people and stuff like that. Agility would be a way of trying to maneuver yourself so you're over enough. Intellect might be a way of trying to like see through the wind and then call out that useful information. But which are you thinking?
I would say will or agility.
So dealer's choice, and I think you got two things that are working to you there. For one boon from the spell protection from wind. The second boon from the, I don't remember what the second boon was coming from that I had in mind. I think it might have been the advantage of moving around.
Height, maybe. Or,
because you're able to maneuver. Geez, I wish I could remember what that second one was, because I think I had 3 boons in mind for 3 factors that came in.
The height, the keen vision?
The height, the keen vision, and the wind. So 3 boons. Yeah, and your protection from elements. So 3 boons with whichever one you feel is appropriate.
There you go.
30% represents 6 people. No, that's not right. 10% of 50 would be 5. That is 15 people lost to the crocodillos when the winds die down. Sadly, tragically, Polter Viscerad is not among those who was affected by this. And why don't Caden, would you give us a, let me think here. Give us a 3d8 roll, please. Or 3d6, not 3d8. All of his flock are among those who survived. And if you think that a aspiring cult leader will not immediately take credit for that, you would be mistaken. 7 more of the caravan have joined as a result of the apparent blessings of the High One.
So there might be something in it. you know.
Yeah.
You one of them.
So this.
It's tempting to pretend to join.
So, that is a difficult thing to take in, I imagine. How's everyone feeling having lost? You did not lose either a gunner or I should leave the Zarpa. I should rewrite that here at the top. Neither of them. But Caden, would you give us 1d50 plus 50, please? You know what? One of your caravan guards. I was curious to see how many of the guards survived the trip. Turns out that the Crocodillos only got one of the guards, the one dramatic disappearance as you were trying to organize everybody. Otherwise, they managed to save themselves. So, I mean, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. So your job is to keep us safe, right? I kept myself safe. Wait, what'd you just say? So that is sort of the, I guess, what is the immediate aftermath among you guys for what has happened? For one, I will tell you, very few people are chirping about Oakley doing nothing any longer because you trying to rally everyone around with your magics, they're a lot more forgiving of it now. Sirocco, likewise. There's a lot of people who are alive on account of your intervention. So you are seen as quite a bit of a hero in the aftermath of that. Moonbeam, I think that the woman and the child that you saved,
Yeah.
they were ones who used to come to you, who stopped coming to you, who 2 days afterwards come back and ask for a reading.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, anything you guys have. There is something else that you guys will find in this travel that came from the roll.
I have light healing. So if I'm finding that there are people who have survived but are injured and have lost in game terms, have taken damage, I will bestow light healing upon them to
Great.
sort of care for the sick effectively, but use magic again to sort of quickly bring them back because they need to be strong to get through here.
Okay.
So that's what I'll be doing. In the aftermath, I'll be focusing on trying to heal people.
That is greatly appreciated, and your many fans among the community are even further, appreciative.
I think Caden will be quite dejected, having sort of in his mind failed in saving those people. So there will definitely be a scene where he takes his frustration out of one of those trees. He sort of throws himself into like a training extra hard and to be better. And there'll be one where just like starts hacking at one of these trees with his blade and like screaming into the void.
I think Fenric, you may pick up on that happening. If you're part of the kind of patrol that's going on, you would see Caden. I imagine he's not wanting other people to see that, so you'd see him leaving, which is very unusual for someone who's the de facto guard captain.
Benner could follow Caden, feeling dejected himself, and he may even sink his Darkmane blade into part of the tree once, just out of camaraderie with Caden. But he's also going to relay his concern that his numbers grow, Caden. We need to continue to stay wary of Poulter.
Yeah, I did notice that him and all of his flock survived. Maybe they are blessed. Kevin, did we see Poulter do anything during the attack? Or was he like actively, or was he like all intents and purposes, cowering in a wagon somewhere?
You can give us an intellect check with 3 banes, because there's so much shit going on. I imagine like there's a chance you could have spotted something, but it's more likely than not you didn't. But let's see.
No, I was too busy.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. You could ask Fenric. Fenric, if you want to give us a same thing, intellect check with 3 banes.
Yeah, I think Caden would like to bring it up, as I bet he was just cowering in a wagon somewhere.
It's unfortunate that the green symbol is like, you rolled a 6. That is then subtracted from your roll.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Moonbeam. You use up that 1. What other numbers do you have kicking around?
Oh, actually, I have a 12 and a 13.
So 14 that he got. So that's
not really that helpful.
so neither of you saw him one way or the other in the midst of the sandstorm.
Is this Moonbeam not using those numbers during the crocodile attack because of your dislike for humans? It's just...
It was their fate.
Yeah.
It was their fate. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before we find out what the next event is?
I can imagine Sirocco, like as things settle down and seeing, looking for and seeing Estebel, turn the corner of a wagon or something, and his mixed feelings of his guiltiness of how he feels about her.
If you run into her, I think after a couple of days, especially after the events of that, I think she will stop you and she will apologize to you.
Mm.
She also thanks you for... She didn't hear you in the storm, but she hears from others that you were the reason that they were safe from those things.
He so had ready like what he wanted to say to her, and now he's like, oh, now I can't. Like he wanted to so like, am I still right? Am I still a monster? Some kind of dramatic, And now it's all gone. Now it's all rubbish. What he was was thinking of, and he doesn't know what to say. He's he doesn't have this gear. He would like to at some point. The mature. On top of it, be able to respond. He goes, I'm glad I was able to help. And that's about all he's got.
Okay. So, anything else, guys? Then, it's about a week and a half later. Again, back into the routine. Estebel has rejoined you guys for dinners, always arriving late after the ever-growing sermons, the ever-growing attendance of sermons at Poulter's meetings. I'm assuming none of you guys have confronted this fella or otherwise, done anything as of yet. It is during one of the reconnoiterings that you do, Sirocco, that you actually spy. It looks like it's not a spire per se, but there's a really unusual kind of rocky edifice, almost like a finger sticking up from the white flats of the desert. Finger in that it's crooked and kind of changed, and it seems to be on its own. You spy this not far off from the direction that the caravan is traveling.
I fly back down to report. I look for Zarpa. Yeah,
Zarpa.
Maybe whoever I see first, but Zarpa is probably my primary since she's.
And I think, so Zarpa, as is typical, says, "I don't have time for your foolishness, Sirocco. What is it?"
There's something up ahead. It's like a spire of some sort. It's a crooked tower.
A crooked. She looks nonplussed.
Any points in the direction that he saw?
Pulls out her spyglass. It looks like there's a hole in this side. She hands the spyglass to you. I think this is the first time she's done that for you.
Yeah, he like handles it, like kind of gently with two hands, and and I'll have a look, and then puts it to his eye.
So you do so, and what you can see is that it looks like, for one, this is it has that shape to it, but it does appear to be a singular formation of stone, a strange bit of hard stone that remains in this salt flat, but there is a cave entrance, it looks like, close to you.
I think you're right. Seems to be a cave of some sort, maybe.
She says, go and see Caden. It's right out and see what's there. If there are bandits that are waiting, sooner know about it now than otherwise.
Will do. He turns and then gives her telescope back.
She takes it back. And boy, well spotted.
Nope. Right. And then I turn and head off looking for Caden.
Okay. So you arrive and you find Caden. Again, this is in the middle of the shift, so everyone is taking their break, but keeping their eyes out.
Caden, spire up ahead. Looks like to be a cave at the foot of it. Zarpa is concerned maybe it could be a place for bandits, so to look alive.
This is now like 3 months you guys have been across the salt flats. You've never seen anything like this.
Zarpa is concerned we should maybe go up ahead and scout it out before the caravan gets too close.
Sounds all right by me.
Then we should do that.
We'll gather Oakley and Moonbeam and Fenric.
Okay.
Yeah.
Collecting all of you five together. Three. You ride out. Oh, ride out. What am I talking about? You don't fucking know fire lizards. You guys walk out.
We don't have fire lizards?
You have very few fire lizards. I mean, the fire lizards, they sort of... I imagine you're a little uncomfortable around them, Moonbeam, because when you do go near them, their giant tongues kind of...
Yeah, exactly. Gross.
Okay. So when... tell us a little bit how you guys plan on approaching this thing. It is a little... it's about 30 feet up the side. It is approachable, but it is just looks like a cave entrance that seems to be fairly deep into the side of this thing. As you get closer, it's going to be about 100 feet thick and then goes up and curves about maybe 300 into the air. Like, it's a really unusual edifice here. How do you approach this cave?
As we get closer, does it look like it's a natural formation, or does it look constructed?
It looks natural, but it does appear as if there's somewhat of a path here. Like, it's really tough in the salt barrens because of, especially out here, the wind's going to blow away everything. But there's just, there's that, like, when stone is walked across over centuries, right? It has that worn or shiny kind of look to it. It's the same kind of thing leading up into here.
Is it a singular path, or are there multiple paths that lead to the opening?
You could get up to it in a couple of different ways. That would be like scrambling up the side, but there appears to be one preferred route that is the easiest, and it's the one that has the kind of the look to it as if people have used this.
Mm. Well,
what do you think, Hayden?
I mean, it's certainly tall enough to house the whole army of trouble. Can you fly closer but not go in and see if you see or hear anything from the inside?
Yeah, I'll have a look. And I dart off to... I'll go off towards it for a closer look from the air.
Sure. Give us a... Oh, you get your keen vision, too. So give us a intellect check with one boon.
Okay. Ooh.
Nice.
There is no sign of life in the entrance. You'd have to actually go inside the cave itself to... so did I say the cave? I meant the Cave of Terrors. You have to go inside the Cave of Terrors before... Did I say terrors? Sorry, I may have misspoke, guys. Hold on. It's just the cave. So you'd have to go inside the actual cave, not of terrors, before you...
I look back and shake my head at Caden.
Okay. I don't think anyone has any boons in it, but you could check for tracks, possibly. And does Fenric, in your wolf form, do you have any scent ability of any kind?
Nothing that was described in his. No.
I think you would be. Oh, yeah, keen scent, one of your senses.
Oh, okay. I don't think I got that on his sheet. Okay.
So you could give us a intellect check with a boon if you'd like. And yeah, see if there's any scent.
Okay.
Wow. So, absolutely no scent. Like you're fairly confident nothing's been here for weeks, if not months. One of the things that is true of this kind of stuff, it is hard exertion for any living thing to make their way across here. So they're going to leave something, dribbles of sweat, boot prints. There's no scent of anything here, Fenric. Whatever, no animal, no living thing.
It would seem abandoned by the living.
What you can pick up, though, is that there's enough of a look of a walked across place. This is something that people have been walking up and down quite some time for. I mean, in the weather you've been traveling, imagine traveling without the benefit of a weather wizard going along with you. This would be a place you could get out of the heat completely. So if you were either living out here or otherwise traveling through, this would be a heck of a way station to take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we have a peek?
Yeah, I think we should.
So, having carefully explored this thing, I will save you guys a little bit of stringing along here in the interest of time. What you find is that this does appear to be a caravanserai. There is a pool of water within here where people can rest and get water. What there isn't is any food. And the one curious thing you find is it looks like it's quite old, but there are, well, let's actually have this. Why doesn't everyone give us an intellect check? It's going to start with 2 Banes. Who might? I think Oakley, you can roll with only 1 Bane because of the Prospector. Caden, Mugger might come into this, so only 1 Bane. Don't think the others would come in on this. So intellect with 1 or 2 Banes, depending on the... Okay. So...
Oh, everyone can roll those. We just don't get a boon. So.
You just get 2 Banes, yeah, instead.
Oh, good lord.
Good job. Okay, so Rocco and Caden and Fenric. There's a little bit of confusion of what's going on here, because it looks like there's an explosion in one part of it. Okay, what looks like where the what do you call it? The camp part would be. There's an explosion and shit's been sort of strewn all over the place. And There's also a single skeleton that has been scattered apart in here. And with some looking around, what you also find is a pistol, a flintlock pistol. And I think either Oakley or Sirocco would be able to discern that there is something magical about this or enchanted about this, likely the markings on the side of this thing. What you find is that this is a... Where is it here? So this is a pistol, like it is out of the player's book, Shadow the Weird Wizard book. But it also has a magical ability. Has one charge that recharges after 24 hours being expended. And as an action, you can... Where is it here? Expend the charge to cause magic to explode from a size 1 space you can see within 30 yards. The explosion deals 3d6 damage to each creature and object within 5 yards of that space, and they make a strength roll. On a failure, they take an extra 3d6 damage. So it can be used as a normal pistol, but it likewise has this once per 24 hours, or once you use a charge, it takes 24 hours to recharge.
I'm happy to spend a charge for my amulet to have discovered it if you want to.
Oh, sure.
Up to you.
Yeah, that's fine by me. So what, because if that's how you would have identified it. And this thing you find scattered pretty far away from the remains. And I think what Sirocco, Caden, and Fenric piece together is it appears that the owner of this likely ran out of food, and it seems hope, and made use of its magic to end its suffering.
I'll hand it to Oakley. I'll hand it to Oakley. Like, oh, look at this. It has something on the side here, sort of a rune or something. It's of a magical nature, to be certain.
So, whoever you wishes to take advantage of that, not for the same purpose that its former owner had, but whoever wishes to take claim of this, you can. It is an oddity that you guys have found. If you bring this information back to the caravan, they are thrilled to rest here for the evening. This is a respite. Everyone can refill water. There's ample water to actually wash yourselves. So spirits are significantly raised. And when word is spread that it was Sirocco who spent it, once again, Sirocco, you're even more favorably thought of. Who wants to take... I guess, does anyone... Oh, go ahead. Sorry, David, what were you going to say?
I think before the caravan gets here, Caden will move the skeleton away and essentially ask his companions, maybe we shouldn't tell the rest of the group.
It would be very easy.
Previously.
Yeah, there's very little left. It took some effort for you to piece together what has actually happened here, right? Like, there's a boot in one place and there's a boot in another. This has happened long enough ago that, you know.
Yeah, so you just make sure that this is the nice thing. We don't have to tarnish it by, telling people that the previous person who found this wasn't quite so lucky. So we'll just focus on the good, the water, the respite.
Yeah. What I can tell you is that those of you who succeeded, you're confident it was the only skeleton here. There was not other people here. So this is only one person who suddenly found this stuff and then, I guess, had nowhere else to go. But
as far as the pistol, he'll hold it out and say, looking at Moonbeam and Oakley in particular, thinking Hayden's able to handle himself. Don't know how. So I don't know. I could put it to use, but how are you two fixed exactly? Or weaponry?
Does anyone have bullets? Or
I have a dagger.
Pallets, I believe, would be.
I have a quarterstaff. This thing is this thing awkward for me to hold, Kevin? I'm
So,
assuming it's
Pistol requires agility
human
11,
sized.
so you would need to have an agility 11 to use this. It requires ammunition of a ball. It's on page 59 of the core book.
I'll explain to everyone there's a magical component to it as well, a different use if you're able to wield it.
Yeah, so it is an offhand weapon too. So you could use anyone who wants to fight with pistol in one hand and thing in the other.
Mm.
You think Moonbeam?
What do you think?
I mean, my current weapon is two-handed.
I have a bow, so perhaps one of you two would prefer it. It's up to you. It looks
What
quite.
page did you say? 41?
Page 59.
59.
59.
At the bottom, exotic
Yeah.
pistol.
But we need bullets to put it to regular mundane use, but there is a magical purpose to it.
I don't have the agility for it.
I do, but I do have a bow as well. So Moonbeam, if you prefer, is it sized all right for you?
I'll try and hold it.
It's not loaded, fortunately, so you can't shoot anyone by accident.
But take care with the runic power upon it, of course.
Indeed, be mindful.
Okay, I'll
So
take it.
you're half size for it. I actually don't know how half size impacts.
I'm actually small, like quite small. So
Yeah, you're the size of a child. So I mean, like I think it's not too small for you to.
And what is it? It's a runic. This one's a runic pistol.
Runic pistol.
Once a day, you can fire a area of effect explosions.
So it's not once a day. It's 24 hours after you use it. It then recharges.
I see.
Right.
Yeah. So it is a little different than.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Is it too big for you?
An object that can normally be gripped with two hands. Let's see.
so it uses agility, and it is 3d6.
So I think it just
Respectable.
means that you would need to use two hands to use the pistol, Moonbeam. You could absolutely use it, but it would be two hands to effectively use it.
Ammunition ball. Brutal.
Yep.
Firearm. Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I'll take it if no one else is interested.
Very good.
Okay.
Misfire, range 5.
Misfire. That sounds good.
And what should I put for the special ability? It's called. It's like.
You discovered this. What would you call it? Runic Pistol of Thundering, or
Yeah.
Can you give the pistol a reading, Moonbeam?
I will.
so? The evening and the time spent here is extremely well received by the caravan. After the incident with the crocodillos, it has really sort of improved the mood. Everyone is washed up. Everyone is comfortable. So then the next, it is a nice break from the others. And
Quick question.
Yep.
Is there any remaining ammo in the detritus in the cave?
Oh.
Yeah. Give us a intellect check with, let's say 2 boons, because I think you're thoroughly checking this over, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see, what is a standard? Because it wouldn't have, whoever made use of this did not necessarily need a bullet for its final use. Let's see here. Explosives. Bomb, gas bomb, wildfire bomb. Guys, things are about to get interesting. Ammunition, here we go. Ooh, there's rules for ammunition die in this. That's cool. Optional rules, mind you, but where the heck? You see where the ammunition is? Under gear, accessories, explosives.
So it's on page 58. It's one of the just says you must have at least one piece of ammunition of the indicated kind to attack with this weapon.
Yeah.
You can recover spent ammunition after combat and make replacements while you rest. So I guess that the default is you don't really track it.
Okay, got it.
Unless you use one of the ammunition variant rules on page 60.
Yeah. The container holds 20 pieces of ammunitions. Well, we'll talk about this in between. I think I'd like to consider these things and then see which ones we think might be cool. But you've got an ammo belt or an ammo whatever. It's now Moonbeam. So you're good.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a minute to load it, so it's kind of like a shoot it.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Cleaning the weapon takes 1 hour with a toolkit and a pint of oil. It takes 1 minute to load this weapon. If you do something else during this time, you must start over from the beginning.
Moonbeam's like, I'm busy. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, guys, before you set out for the next stretch of your journey?
There's no other opening, is there? So this cave doesn't actually. There's no underground. Or I'll take a look.
There is a opening further up that you probably would be able to at least see. It would be difficult for you to get in there. You can't cling to walls, right?
No, nothing.
Okay, so then, like you would see, I think, spot between your keen vision and just like looking, there is like a chimney, so you can safely have fires down here as well. So it'll carry the smoke out. It's really like this, for however long this place has been here, this clearly has been used for a very long time as a kind of a caravan stop-off. Although it's curious that it's not seemingly been used in years. So,
yeah, I have a good look at that opening just to see if I can make sure there's no threat. You know, there's nothing waiting up in an opening.
Tough to tell, you know, because you wouldn't like picture yourself swinging around in this small cavern. You can't hover, so trying to get like you could see that it's there, but barring you climbing up it.
Gotcha.
Do you think you'd have a remedy for that?
I mean, if I can make a torch. I don't know if it's possible to try to I don't have a good remedy.
I think it's a good way to get yourself to fly into a wall, probably, because like your wings are part of your. Are they part of your back or are they part of your hands?
I think they're part of my back.
Okay, so then you actually got free hands. So you could try. I don't know if that's going to afford you much more than what you've got.
Okay. I was going to throw it up in there and make sure that down below when it falls, you know, it doesn't fall on anybody, and then to throw it up and just to get a glimpse. You know?
You guys keep hearing from somewhere in the top of the cavern, heads up, and then a torch falls down.
Yep.
Heads up.
Hey, heads up now. Heads up.
What the fuck?
Look, if you catch on fire, that's not my fault. Heads up.
Bam into the wall. Okay, so then, I mean, the stay is uneventful. Otherwise, so you guys are not. There's nothing lurking. If there is anything up there, it does not come down. Anything else you guys wish to do before you head on? Then another couple of weeks pass. Once again, back to the tedious, continual days, and it is late in the evening as you guys are bedding down. Not late in the evening. It's when the end of the day, when you guys are setting down. Sirocco, once again, you are up. And Sirocco, once again, you see something curious. This time much further off. You cannot see what the source is. But there are several tendrils of black smoke. Probably about 2 miles off, maybe 3. Black, acrid smoke coming up. Billowing up into the skies. A little south, mostly like southeast from where you guys are traveling. You have yet to come across anything that burns as acrid and dark.
I will report back. I will fly down.
Zarpa once again. What is it, boy? I'm busy.
Acrid smoke, south-southeast. Dark, black, multiple streams.
Comes out. She looks and then kind of go up. Look more closely.
All right. I will have a look. I'll climb.
Give us a intellect check with a boon, please. You're going to get some information here. Just I want to see how much extra you might get. What you can see is what appears to be of different design from yours, but it appears, or the ones you are traveling with, it appears to be about 20 wagons burning.
They're on fire.
Oh, no.
I will come back. Fateful news, Zarpa. There are 20 wagons aflame.
She has a look of concern and describe for me, what did you see? And you're able to describe that.
Did I see any movement? Any Kevin creatures? Or?
Not with that roll.
Okay.
What she says. Describe the make of the wagons, and you're able to kind of describe how they differ from yours.
Mm-hmm.
Halflings. Gunner comes over and says, What is it? And she says, I think a Firefoot caravan has been struck. And he says, so when you tell him what you saw, Sirocco, she says, we cannot rest here. Directly north. At least for 3 hours. And Gunner says, we cannot leave it then. He turns to you, Sirocco. Collect Caden and your friends. So you collect them. If you guys are brought back to Zarpa and Gunner, what you find is that people are suddenly like she's starting to give directions to the guards to get people up and going. Zarpa says, we think there has been a caravan struck to the south. Something has attacked it. I think it to be a halfling caravan in all likelihood. It could be part of the Firefoot. And Oakley, I think you recognize that name for sure. Why don't you give us let's see how much you know about it. Give us a intellect with 1 advantage. And I think, Caden, you also can give us a roll because you've been kicking around with these guys. Intellect with 1 boon. You've been kicking around with the guards long enough that they may have been talking. Yeah. So, yeah, both of you guys are familiar with this. So there are, in the Borderlands, there are different halfling caravans that kind of make their way along. Rather than having one place to stay, they kind of have these nomadic existence in here. The Lightfoot caravan is one you'll see in the Borderlands itself. The Firefoot is one that crosses the Salt Barrens. There was talk about potentially coming across them. They're great because they're extremely friendly, and they're a lot more dangerous to those who would attack it than what you would expect from halflings. What they lack in size, they make up for in ferocity and in cleverness. But if it's a Firefoot, like this is the kind of like an entire home on wheels caravan. It is not a place that travels to necessarily just to reach a destination and then unload. That is their lives they travel with. So if someone has hit them and burned them, that's an entire community wiped out. It also, in a much bleaker sense, might mean some supplies that could be salvaged. Life is tough in the Salt Barrens. You gotta, they ain't gonna use it anymore. So that's what Oakley and Caden know about that. The others, Fenric, Sirocco, Moonbeam, you have no idea what this would mean. What Zarpa says, we're taking the caravan north. We need someone to check. If there are survivors, bring them. If you see what attacked them, we need to know that. And if there are, whatever did it, if there are any there, then use your judgment. If there are too many to face, we cannot risk them being brought back to the caravan. But the Firefoot would never be the aggressor if it is them. Whatever that took them down is a threat to us as well. She doesn't ask if she could trust you with it or anything like that. She knows that you guys are capable of this.
Mm-hmm.
Then, we're traveling due north. Find your way back to us.
We'll find you.
So the sun will be setting by the time you guys arrive, or by the time you guys reach the remnants of the Firefoot caravan. What would you guys... How do you think you would approach this, and are there any preparations you would do before reaching there? I hear there's a few of you who have magic.
I will be doing my ritual, asking the spirits to bark my skin.
Okay. Anyone else have anything they wish to do?
Not so
makes
much.
sense. Sorry, go on, Jamie.
I was just gonna say not so much in preparation, but certainly once we set out, he'll be using his keen sense to try to get a reading on whether there's surviving halflings or something unknown.
Okay.
I don't have anything that will help at a distance.
Okay.
I have my shield and sword ready.
Yeah, my bow and arrow in hand.
Okay. How do you guys wish to approach the caravan?
Do you want me to be in front from the air? I realize I may find them the accidental way, but it's part of the risk.
I assume approaching there isn't much cover because it'll just flat salt barrens.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's very little to hide yourself unless you've got some arcana or something that would allow you to assist with that. Then no, you would be. The one upside is that it is in the middle. You know, it's in the dusk, so it's in that like hardest time of day to spot something at a distance.
I could go from 100 yards up. It's a tough bow shot. If someone does try to take a shot at me, what do you think?
Yeah, having up in the air will be useful. We just need to keep our eyes peeled and see if there's any movement as we approach, or definitely be on your guard.
Indeed. Let's see. And I'll try to come up with some, I don't know. Sirocco's thinking some kind of signals, a small handful of, that are very demonstrable so you can see from a distance that, I don't know.
I think the dusk would cut against you in that way too. It'd be really hard to make out details. But can you think of another way though? Don't you have access to like magical light and stuff?
Are you trolling me?
No.
Don't you have light?
Do
Like,
one confetti for safe, 2 confettis.
Okay, there's the troll. I knew it.
There it is.
I knew it. I do not have light, for your information. I am actually, funny enough, I am working on something, but I don't have it yet, of words that travel on wind. But I do not have this. I am working on it.
So, Sirocco, do you have any other useful things you might have in future but do not have as of yet? Or
all sorts of things, really. All sorts of things. But there are many plans. Many
Fantastic.
plans.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
let's think about this. I don't have
So,
well,
let me ask you this then, because here's an alternative: is do you want Sirocco to fly up, reconnoiter, and then come back and report?
probably, right? Thoughts? Did you have something, Oakley? You going to say something?
I think Fenric is familiar with the concept of skeet shooting, perhaps.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think maybe like a whistling or clicking, to tell us, to turn back or to follow you or something along those lines. Something simple, audible to us that we've worked
Flee
out.
for your lives. I'll hold them off as long as I can. Signal.
Right. Like one or two, things that you might be able to communicate from afar, but otherwise you tell us when it's safe to approach.
Do you have light? Do you have, dare I say, sparkle? Or is it all confetti?
I do have a little lightning. I have a bit of lightning I could fire. I've got that.
Okay, sorry, Graham, what did you say? I think your audio broke up just a little bit there.
I'm just asking if you had any sparkle.
Oh, any sparkle, okay.
Yes, but I don't have complete control over it yet.
All right. So then, Sirocco is...
I have a little bit of lightning. I have a lightning I could try to use.
Gotcha.
Okay. So do you wish to fly up first then? Is the jolt going to be the all clear?
Yeah. What is most useful? What should it signify? We think. Probably danger. No, I mean, because safety. I'll be coming back. If there's nothing to see, I'll just return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you returning in the case of danger as well?
No, because I'll be on the ground on my back. Maybe it's the no, but
So the sign is I'm bleeding out. Got it.
if I go to my back in the ground, then
So why don't you do this?
That is very dangerous, and we should leave. Yes.
Sirocco, give us an agility check with one boon. This will be your stealth check. I can see, for one, you're not able to really quietly fly, but also people are probably not going to look up. But you do have the dusk in your benefit. So
look
at that.
There you go.
Wow. So, Sirocco, here's what you're able to pick up and be utterly concealed from this. There's around 22, 23 charged caravans. There is no chance of any survivors here. There are, in fact, body parts that are lying around that seem to not be burned, but seem to have been separated. It's difficult at this distance to tell whether they were hacked off, whether they were blown off, whether they were chewed off. But they are separate, and they are definitely the size of halflings. There is also something there. The burning of these, they are separated enough as if they seem to have been at camp when whatever came upon them. There's an enormous amount of damage to these on top of just being burned. And the scorching of this is not just a matter of the fire spreading from caravan to caravan to caravan. There are bits where there are open patches where the ground itself seems raised, as if something burned from above down onto it. In the center of the camp as well, there is a bizarre circular design charred into the ground with 3 cardinal points on it, with symbols that stand out among the other symbols. And just because it was such a traumatic experience for you, I think you cannot help but think of that ringing of cards that were set around you with the 3 specific ones jutted out when Moonbeam read your fortune several months back. There's no cards down there, but there is a marking, and it seems as if there is disfigurements that have been charred or carved into the side of these wagons as well. All the beasts of burden are slain. there's no sign of any living thing here. And no intact bodies to be seen, at least from the sky.
Hmm. And the state of the fires, do I get any sense of how long they've been burning? Like, are they pretty much ash, or are they kind of half ash?
Half ash is how I prep for a session. Let's see here. I think that they have been burning for quite a while. This is like, they may have been burning from like the previous night.
Hmm. I will return with this news. It's a pretty horrific sight. They left nothing alive, and looks to have dismembered much of the halflings with archaic. Well, can't be sure how many. I mean, obviously, it could be one, I suppose, but it'd be quite a one. They did more damage, it would seem, than necessary. And with archaic symbols carved and even burned into the ground from above, it almost seemed quite portentous.
Oh, goodness.
Slain by magic or by blade?
Hard to tell. We might want to take a closer look. I don't see anything living there. I think it's probably worth a closer examination at this point.
I think we should move in close.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Sean. We can.
I can stay above. Keep an eye out as you examine.
I've been wary of magic sigils or any sort of wards or anything that, any traps that have been left. But yes, let's get closer.
Fenric, would you give us a roll with intellect check with 1 boon, please? I think 2 boons. Oh, you only need the 1. Madison, I got it. Don't give me your fucking... Don't insult me with your second boon. As you're getting in there, the thing that you would pick up... I'm assuming you're in wolf form, right?
Yeah, he is now.
To have the scent. What you pick up is a very specific scent that you have only smelled, I think, on one occasion in the old country. And I will let you tell everyone.
Whatever the whoop equivalent of clearing your throat is. Or
I think that's a comedic sneeze, I believe.
Yeah, right. Like a quick sneeze and then just orc utters from Fenric's.
So if he says orc, 2 things that you guys would know about this, just in general, from having escaped the old country. 1, orc is not a species. Orc is a spiritual disease that affects people and transforms them. It seems to be linked to the old gods, to the ancient ones, the ones before the old gods, that were seemingly the Lovecraftian things that Schwalb loves and does so well. The orcs are a spiritual infection that can come from exposure to them or from just their orc dwarf holds that have gone silent because they drew down too deep and came too close to those chained ancient gods. It's also worth noting the orc plague has not reached the borderland and does not seem to be here. It is a plague of the old country. You are more than halfway to Newtown right now. If there are orcs here, that is a very troubling development. With him saying that, Caden and Fenric, you'd be aware the most insidious thing about the orcs is it just, in addition to transforming them physically, it makes them utterly merciless. There is no remorse. There is only violence and dominance with orcs. So the violence you see here, the disrespect shown to the dead, all consistent with orcs.
Any connection with the burned symbols or anything?
Orcs typically do not use magic. They are too base and too contingent.
Kinetic.
Incidentally, there's absolutely no known cure for the Orcish plague.
Ah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The markings. If you make your way to the center of the camp, it's as Sirocco said, fires from the sky. Mages, dragons. The markings, though, you would recognize. They are magical symbols to a degree, but they are in a very old form of what's called the ancient or the archaic script. Any guesses as to which church makes use of those most prominently?
The new church.
The New Gods Church, the High One, favors this very much. There is a marking around here. And Caden, from your critical from earlier, those 3 distinct symbols, they look weird to you, which is why you don't recognize them at first. But you do recognize them eventually. It's weird when you look at them. These markings are actually sigils or names. The names are Omnius, Justia, and Liberacia. Put those in chat. I know we all went to high school with triplets named that, but come on.
They all spelled it different, though, you know.
It is always, you know.
Yeah.
Good call.
Omnius, Justia, and Liberacia. Those are the names of the triumvirate of angels that represent the ideals of the High One. Those ideals, again, grace, righteousness, and selflessness. But the reason that you don't recognize them, or didn't recognize them at first, it's not uncommon for them to be set up in this kind of like triumvirate rows when speaking of the High One's highest angels. It's because all 3 of these are inverted.
Oh, no.
Oakley, I think being the most well-traveled of all of these, you perhaps are able to make out the carvings that are in the side of this. And it seems as if the orcs can barely function, never mind, let alone kind of communicate or whatnot, and spelling likely is not their forte. The fine tracing of script and the markings on the ground, this seems like this would be what Caden would understand just from that crypt from before. This is what you would expect from a grand, you know, some kind of religious ceremony for the High One. But the markings that you see, Oakley, so you actually don't recognize it at first. And you certainly don't know necessarily how to speak it well enough. But the markings are a single word. And the word is Idki. The reason it is difficult to see is because it is a language that is almost never spoken. It is the language of the people of the Isle of Atomos. Atomosan. Where Yuansfall found the new god. what the word Idki means is dusk or sunset. It is carved over and over again crudely into the sides. There is sadly nothing living here. What do you guys do?
I'll swoop down. Any supplies at all? Anything hidden, strewn about?
There actually is a surprising, for what is, it's charred. Most shit has been burned. And certainly burned by a fire hotter than just setting fire to a wagon. Something has magically, mystically burned through these things.
The only bodies are halfling bodies, so the parts of bodies we can find. There's no indication of like orcs or anything else again.
There is also definitely not enough bodies here to make up, even in pieces, of what was here. But the orcs have been known to be undiscriminating about their food sources.
Anyone looking at Caden will notice that he has one hand around a medallion.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a combo. Orcs and magic and symbology burned in. What does it mean? Because he's flying low.
One, it means Moonbeam's cards are on the nose. I will explain the inverted, what the three symbols mean and how they might relate to Moonbeam's reading from a few months ago.
And Sirocco flies erratically, hearing some pieces of that, of his reading.
Idki, indeed. And is there anything of value left, did you say, Kevin?
There's like slag coins that would be left over. There would be, you know, nothing, nothing that can be carried away, but like stuff that would have been left behind and burned would still be here. And I think, what do you guys, having looked over here, what, if anything else, do you guys wish to do here? It is evening, and if the orcs, they find sunlight anathema.
Is the sun setting by any chance?
The sun has set.
It has set. Okay. Well, sunset.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Now.
I agree.
Is there any use to carrying back a copy of the burned symbols? Maybe not. Just throwing it out there. In the wagon sides.
The symbols are on the ground. The word Idki is carved into the wagons.
It might be useful. I don't know if there's a use to back at the caravan, the proof of the new symbology.
No, but I don't think we want Alter and his people to find out about some heavenly fire burning righteous symbols into the ground or anything like that.
You know, now that you say that, the fiery damage to these, it does almost appear as if a flaming sword brought through them.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we best not risk bringing more fervor to the cult.
No.
And if there are orcs about, we need to not be here when they get here.
I think that's the message. Orcs.
So then, with much haste, I guess you guys have about 2 hours of catching up to do to the caravan. But it seems like you have reason to hurry.
Mm.
And as we bring our session to a close, what we would not see is that your inspection of the caravan has been observed by a cloaked figure. Now to find out more about that in 1 month's time, guys. So that brings us to the end of session 2. Welcome to level 3, guys. So let me bring us back to our main page here. For those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for part 2, session 2 of our Shadow of the Weird Wizard campaign, A Decade of Doom. Is that what we called it? Yeah. Decade of Doom. I had to double check. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server. We have a channel there dedicated to assorted games, as well as most of the games we run on the channel. Virtual tabletop chat, GM discussion. There's a terrific community over there. Helpful, knowledgeable, and friendly, and you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games, as is on Jamie's fine shirt there, the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America. Not only do they have an incredible selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs, like, I don't know, what? The Dark Eye RPG, for instance. In addition, if they don't have something in stock, you can put it on a want list and they'll send you an email when it comes in. And if you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code Happy Muse Year. It's listed in the description of the video. All caps, all one word. It'll save you 10% on a purchase of $10 or more. And that'll change as of April 15, 2025. So you're listening to this after that time. Come back to one of our more recent videos and we'll have the current discount code listed there. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you to our collected weirdos. So, David, Jeffrey, Graham, Sean, and Jamie, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. This was a ton of fun. I am so sorry for what is coming in the coming sessions. But for those listening at home, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back in 1 month's time, but we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles. Boy, the 3 sessions in a 24-hour period, and the last, the outro just goes the wheels off. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our weirdos are encountering as they're just trying to make their way to a new life in Newtown. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.